the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476, The Situation in Rogtown. 2. Impel City as the largest prison in the world. It is located in the windless zone of the first half of the Grand Route, and its security is extremely tight. The prisoners in the prison are all serious criminals. It is very eerie and scary inside, and is monitored by various monster jailers and video phone bugs. There are a large number of large sea kings on the seabed outside the prison, so Impel Down City is known as an iron wall. However, until the Golden Lion Shiji made a big fuss in Impel Down City, as a great pirate of Roger's generation, he could not believe that Roger, who was recognized as his opponent, would be arrested, so he single-handedly entered Marine headquarters to kill large numbers of Marines, after learning from Sengoku and Cap of the headquarters that Roger would be publicly executed in the town of Rogue where he was born. Shiji, who had always regarded the East China Sea as the weakest place, was very angry about this, thinking that it was a punishment for Roger's death. The last insult before point. In order to prevent Shiji from causing trouble, when Roger was about to be executed, Navy Vice Admiral Garpa Navy Headquarters Admiral Buddha Sengoku entered the battle. The battle between the three of them destroyed nearly half of the town of Marineland before they were victorious. Burden point. After Shiji's defeat, he was imprisoned into level 6 Infinite Hell, the world's largest prison. It was obvious that this was a series of plans by the Navy. In addition to Roger and the Golden Lion, the aloof Red Belloric was also their target, and Sora specially set up a siege situation for this purpose. The Navy moved very quickly. After dealing with the Golden Lion, the next step was to target another big pirate, the aloof Red Belloric. Cyborg Kang and Black Armed Zephyr led a team to surround Belloric on an isolated island. Roger's execution was about to take place. The Navy planned to take advantage of the world's attention on this matter and cover it up with lightning speed. With this momentum, several big pirates on the Grand Line were caught in one fell swoop. However, Belloric's swordsmanship was too strong. Under siege by two general level combat forces, he still insisted on continuing to fight with the naval forces on this island. On an isolated island somewhere along the Grand Line, Belloric had a cold expression on his face, and while holding the rapier tightly in his hand, he had suffered many injuries on his body. Roger and the Golden Lion are both great pirates with a large number of outstanding crew members. But he is alone. Since the Navy is preparing to close the net, it will naturally not miss this great pirate who is as famous as Roger and the Golden Lion. For Sora, ending this era is his most important mission. Although the Whitebird pirates are still in the New World and are constantly expanding their forces and cannot be captured for the time being, the Navy has released all its power to deal with Belloric. Belloric was originally acting alone, so it was best to target him. Facing the crazy attack of naval warships, Belloric fought and retreated, and was forced to enter the isolated island. At this time, 6 vice admirals of the Navy, plus Marshal Kang, General Zephyr joined the siege, highlighting the absolute crisis of Belloric. You have been surrounded by the Navy for a while. If you continue like this, you will be imprisoned in the Impel Down City together with Roger and the Golden Lion. The sudden sound made Belloric flash the rapier in his hand, and he turned around to see the face of the person clearly, Uchiha Madara. At this moment, Belloric didn't hesitate at all. The rapier in his hand released more than a dozen blood red slash marks, but he saw winding airflow around the latter, quickly dispelling Belloric's sword light. No, you are not Uchiha Madara. Belloric, who also possesses the aura of seeing and hearing, is very accurate in judging people's auras. Although the person opposite has the same face as Uchiha Madara, the two have completely different temperaments. Seeing Belloric stop attacking, the mysterious man said calmly, "Since it is confirmed that they are not the same person, can we start cooperation?" Cooperation? What's your bargaining chip? This fruit should be the power you need most. The devil fruit taken out by the person in front of him made Belloric's expression change drastically. He did not expect that the fruit he dreamed of would actually appear in this person's hand. Animal type bat fruit phantom beast type vampire form. Baloric's eyes changed as he secretly browsed through the devil's fruit manual. The latter showed an imperceptible sneer, and there was an unsettling aura about him. Baloric took back the rapier in his hand. His eyes became gloomy and complicated. What do you need me to do? Destroy the Sand Ninja Pirates. They are about to return to Rogtown. I hope you can solve this problem. It's just this. Although Baloric was a proud man, he didn't feel the need to refuse the offer, so he agreed. The young man with the same face as Uchiha Madara showed a sneer in front of him. Oh, Aoki Shiraishi is not a simple character. Even if he is the aloof red, don't underestimate him. Baloric held the vampire fruit in front of him without any hesitation. The moment he ate it, a wave of blood red energy swept across the entire island. In an instant, a huge bloody aura condensed on Baloric, showing a shocking feeling that he had never seen before. In an instant, the blood on the rapier spread from Baloric's body, forming a huge blood bat, which began to carry out crazy counterattacks and revenge on the surrounding navy. During the lightning and thunder, terrifying death energy flashed on the sea. For a moment, the navy on the island seemed to be trapped in hell, unable to protect itself. When Sora and Zephyr arrived at the scene, they saw that Baloric had already transformed into a giant blood red bat and soared away from the island. Shall we go back to the navy headquarters next, or go to Rogtown? Go back to Rogtown. Without even thinking about it, he decided to go to Rogertown with Zephyr. Roger's execution meeting was more important than anything else. Almost no one knew about the war to encircle and suppress the solitary red on the Grand Line. After all, Baloric, like Hawkeye in the future, was a lone pirate, and his movements rarely attracted attention. Rogtown, at the place where Pirate King Roger was executed, the world government deployed a huge force at the scene to ensure that the execution could proceed smoothly. The naval hero Garp was personally in charge. In addition, there were Buddha of the Warring States period, Zijiangyi, a group of lieutenant generals, and several students of Zephyr, Perusalino and Sakaski. Perusalino and Sakaski joined the navy at the same time, and were born at the same time. At that time, Sakaski's strength and outstanding performance were merged into monsters. Reading www.ukanshu.net. However, as one of Zephyr's students, Perusalino had the worst relationship with Zephyr among all the students, so now he mainly follows Sengoku. As for Sakaski, he is now also active on the front line of the navy. Doberman's death in battle and Kimmel's serious injury retired allowed Sakaski and Perusalino to be promoted to lieutenant general in advance. In addition, the two had just eaten the natural devil fruit, so they were also powerful combat forces that the navy relied on. Such a luxurious loot is enough to suppress any pirate group in this era. Even the whitebeard pirates, the navy is confident of fighting them head on. Rogtown welcomed this day in such an atmosphere. Countless navies gathered on both sides of the coast and docks. The warship escorting the Pirate King slowly sailed towards Rogtown. At the same time, deep in the seabed, the Shukaku quietly emerged. Shiraishi was walking on the deck, wearing a silver pirate suit and a brand new three-cornered hat. After seeing the Pirate King with my own eyes, I just want to confirm some information about the final land and my own speculations. Chapter 477, Face to Face with Roger, the Pirate King. At the beginning of New Year's Day in the year 1500 of the Heian calendar, it was the day when the world government and the navy headquarters decided to execute the Pirate King Roger. In order to organize this huge feast, the navy headquarters deployed all its combat power in the town of Roger, mainly to prevent Roger's gang members from robbing the execution platform. After Sora and Zephyr arrived in Rogtown, all the combat forces of the navy headquarters gathered together. At the same time, the navy ship transporting Roger also slowly sailed in the direction of Rogtown. I saw it was a navy warship, and the Pirate King Roger is on it. The words in the town caused a huge commotion in the whole place, and many of the people lurking in the crowd were pirates. The warships docked little by little on the shore, with countless navy guards on both sides, including the navy headquarters generals, marshals and some outstanding lieutenant generals, all with serious faces. After landing at the pier, Roger was silent all the way, and Garp was silent on the side, to accompany him ashore. In the Previous push forward city, Roger had handed over his wife and child to Garp to raise him. Garp, who was entrusted by the loyal people, chose to take care of his child for Roger, so he was ready to face the storm in the future. The two of them were speechless on the way to the execution ground. They were from the same era. Although one was a pirate and the other was a navy, they had always admired each other. But on this day, Garp was not in a good mood. The death of Roger may not change this chaotic era. Garp knew that a more turbulent era was coming. Along the way, Garp took good care of Roger and once let him rest on the deck. Although his hands and feet were cuffed, Roger was in a good mood and looked at the town of Roger below. Garp, without you, the Rocks pirates would probably continue to dominate this great sea route, and I might not be able to become the pirate king. Hahaha. Rocks pirates, the name of the previous era, and the name Garp hero is also related to this pirate group. But at that time, Roger and Garp were both fledgling newcomers, but Rocks was already a giant on the sea. Roger the came to the execution platform. Roger looked at the sky and suddenly said, in this world, in addition to the truth that the world government is trying to hide, there are actually other bigger secrets. Roger seemed to remember what happened in the final land, but then a voice suddenly sounded. Can you tell me the secret of the final land? Mr. Roger, the Pirate King, who? The moment Garp turned around, he saw a young man dressed in white, holding a silver sword, quietly appearing on the side. Suddenly the entire navy was in chaos. Garp held an iron fist in his hand. It's Aoki Shiraishi, the great pirate Aoki Shiraishi, the former Rookie King, who had disappeared for more than 2 years, and was rumored to have died in the Windless Zone, now appeared on the way to escort Roger. For a while, everyone else in Roger Town focused their attention on the two opposing parties. Ha. Ha ha ha. Roger laughed and seemed to be very happy. I didn't expect that I could see such an interesting new person before I die. A domineering aura suddenly spread from Beishi, and the surrounding navy began to feel dizzy. I'm serious. Can you tell me the secret of the final place, Overlord? Color and domineering. When did this guy master color? After Roger was silent for a while, he said in a very understatement, in the final place, I saw a crack in the sky, and there was an incredible giant tree in the crack. Giant tree. Is it a heretic demon? When Shiraishi was trying to think, he saw that Garp's fist had already arrived, and the two sides exchanged punches again. The surrounding airflow exploded and raged, and the domineering aura of both sides set off a stormy wave. This kid is much stronger than last time. With just one punch, both sides understood in their hearts that Garp was surrounded by a steady stream of domineering power, showing the posture of a peerless strong man. It was obvious that he would never allow the Sand Ninja Pirates to destroy everything. I didn't expect that Aoki Beishi is so strong now. The third battle between Garp and Shiraishi begins, but by this time Roger has stepped onto the top of the execution platform. Pirate King, do you have anything else to say? Hearing Beishi's call, Roger laughed loudly, suddenly looked at everyone in Rogtown, and swept the entire Rogtown with a special voice. Do you want my treasure then? If you want it, you can give it all to me. You go find it. The Grand Line is where I put everything in the world. Roger's declaration set off the atmosphere in the entire Rogtown. Even many people on the telephone bug live broadcast side gave out enthusiastic cheers, feeling the change in the atmosphere of the entire Rogtown. Beishi looked at the man on the execution platform. Roger, the undisputed #1 person in the world of pirates, is the person who started the entire era of pirates with wealth, fame, and power. Roger was once the absolute overlord who owned the entire world and ruled the Grand Route. Even after his death for countless years, he still exerted his intimidating power to a terrifying existence. Seeing the huge turmoil caused by Roger, Khan quickly ordered the execution. Suddenly the two executioners shot their spears and pierced Roger's chest. Blood flowed on the entire execution platform, but he always looked into the distance, as if expecting something. Ba ba ba. Roger said something incredible. Hehehe. The new Pirate King in the future must be me, Captain. Woo woo. Perusalino, who had just been promoted to Lieutenant General, frowned. It's so scary. A troublesome guy has appeared. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a flash of light, and Perusalino, who possessed the shining fruit, appeared behind Shiraishi. Didn't anyone tell you that your smile is obscene? A fire fist suddenly erupted and struck directly at Perusalino, who turned into light and blocked the moment. A man wearing a white stone special flaming monkey mask appeared on the battlefield. It's a masked warrior. It's indeed a natural burning fruit. It's really a terrifying ability. Ace was in a bad mood. He looked at the man on the execution platform. When his eyes met with Roger's, Ace understood everything, so he waited for the sentence to end before choosing to take action. You are a great pirate king, but you are not a qualified husband and father. Roger, who has the ability to listen to the sounds of all things, suddenly raised his head in surprise and looked at the man wrapped in a mask under the execution platform during the confused stage before death. I see. Sorry. Reading www.ukanshu.net has caused trouble to you. Roger's last words suddenly rang in Ace's ears, and he couldn't help but shed tears for a moment. Don't think I'll forgive you, you bastard. The huge burning pillar of fire raged across the entire sky. Seeing this, Sakazuki from a distance condensed hot lava energy on his palms. The old era is over, a new era has arrived, and the Sand Ninja Pirates will be the real protagonists who will lead the next great pirate era. Shiraishi spread his wings behind him, causing a huge torrent of ice and snow. Under the violent cold wind, he made a very arrogant declaration that almost offended all the pirates and navy in the room. Ice lotuses bloomed all over the sky, and snowflakes froze the sea surface again. Beishi, who had used the ability of the iceberg phantom beast countless times, froze faster this time, making Garp feel more and more troublesome. This guy can't let this go anymore. Domineering and arrogant, perfectly combined in Shiraishi. Chapter 478. How about selling me some face? In Rogtown, all forces focused their attention on the Sand Ninja Pirates that appeared in the direction of the execution platform. Making trouble on Roger's execution platform, directly facing the entire combat power of the Shanghai Navy headquarters. This seemingly reckless behavior actually created huge momentum for the Suna Ninja Pirates in the future. Without enough fame and power, how to recruit troops in today's battle? If Shiraishi and his team succeed in establishing their authority, the Sand Ninja Pirates will be in a very advantageous position in their future struggle for hegemony on the Great Line. If emperors are born on the sea next, one of them will belong to Aoki. Shiraishi did the Nana Sand Ninja Pirates really announce the arrival of a new era on this occasion? As a member of the underground world, Doflamingo showed a cold smile. He knew very well that Shiraishi's appearance in Rogtown was not to save the Pirate King, but purely to establish his authority and establish the symbol of his next era. However, he also has sword skills in this outfit. Could it be that he comes from the country of Wano? The origin of Aoki Shiraishi is a god, and the world government cannot investigate his true background. The only possibility is that he comes from an area outside the control of the world government, and Wano country is the most likely one. Moonlight Moria really admired Shiraishi and his team for daring to challenge the world government at this time. Hehe, I didn't expect that the Sand Ninja Pirates would choose this time to appear in front of the world. The Navy was under great pressure, and their initial plan to execute Roger came to nothing. Now they not only have to guard against the Suna Ninja Pirates, but also the other pirates at the scene. I'm afraid they will make other moves next. No pirate group is willing to have all the limelight stolen by the Sand Ninja Pirates at such a juncture. I've already asked all the questions I should ask. Can the Navy let us leave? How about giving me some face? After listening to Shiraishi's words, Garp's face turned livid, and his fists burst out with the most lethal power. You little bastard. Hey, it's not good for you to be angry with Grandpa like this. Shiraishi's plan is very clear, and the other pirate groups will immediately cause a scene. Faced with the provocation of the Sand Ninja Pirates, the Navy headquarters responded quickly. Just as Ace was entangled with Perusalino, a huge fist of lava fire suddenly fell from the distance. This is Lava Punch. Sakazuki's most commonly used basic move is to attack the opponent with magma-like high-temperature fistbones. After the hit, volcanic rocks can burst out to inflict secondary damage to the opponent. With this attack, He can kill Fire Fist Ace, knock down Ivankov, and penetrate Jinb. Luffy, who was only scratched by the Magma Fist, also left a cross scar on his chest point, so Ace was too impressed by this punch. Thinking of this, Ace roared angrily, and his fist burned with hot and high temperature flames, which soon turned into a similar fist of fire. Directly facing Sasuke's fist, there was a loud explosion, and sparks shot out, causing a tremor on the sea surface. Sasuke's face changed slightly. He did not expect that the opponent's natural fruit ability user had such a high degree of development of the burning fruit point. However, as the future admiral and marshal of the navy, Sasuke is basically a determined person. The Sand Ninja Pirates are the next target that must be eradicated. Sasuke feels so familiar. Ace clutched his chest, and terrifying flames burned all over his body. Roger was already dead on the execution platform, but the battle for the Sand Ninja Pirates had just begun. It's so scary. Are you leaving me alone? While the light in Perusalino's hand was condensing, a cluster of arrows suddenly shot out, interrupting his power of light. The Mako Kakayo holding a longbow stood on the Shukaku in the distance and locked Perusalino. Miss Miko, although your sniping ability is very powerful, you don't seem to be very good at close combat, right? A ray of light instantly appeared in front of Platicodon. Just when Perusalino showed a lewd expression, Platicodon didn't hesitate at all. The sword in his hand condensed a powerful light of spiritual power and slashed directly at Perusalino. It's really scary this time. A witch who can fight in close combat. Platicodon gently struck the knife, and the entire sea surface was cut open, turning into a sky full of turbulent waves. A strange smile appeared on the corner of Perusalino's mouth, and when the photonization of his body condensed again, he saw the invisible airflow generated by the longbow projecting out as Kakayo's fingers moved. Domineering entanglement. Turning around slightly, Perusalino's eyes suddenly became serious. He didn't expect that a witch like a sniper would be in such trouble. The terrifying lethality displayed by Platicodon shocked the entire audience. Navy Marshal Sora was still guarding the execution platform, while the two generals Zephyr and Sengoku faced off against Unohana Ritsu and Uchiha Madara. Let the battle begin. As the vice captain of the Sand Ninja Pirates, the endless dark fire behind Uchiha Madara condensed a huge black flame dragon in the sky, hovering in the sky and earth at that moment, directly blasting towards the navy below. The black flame dragon is just the beginning of clearing away the miscellaneous soldiers, but Uchiha Madara's real killer move is to condense countless black flames in midair to form a huge flame giant. After 2 years of training, Uchiha Madara has already perfectly controlled the power of the Dark Nine Tails in his body, condensed the huge black flame into Susanoo like Uchiha Madara, and looked at this area proudly. This power Uchiha Madara's powerful Susanoo almost plunged the navy into chaos. The rioting black flame giants raged across the square, and for a while, Rogtown seemed to be in doom. As one of the 3 navy generals, Sengoku quickly activated his devil fruit and transformed into the form of a Buddha. Under the golden light, Sengoku waved his hands with strong palm power. It has to be said that when Uchiha Madara saw this golden giant Buddha, his mood suddenly became very happy. The black flames burning all over his body spread even more crazily, and the violent dark air rushed towards Sengoku. The battle between light and darkness intertwined on the battlefield, and on the other side of the battlefield, Uchiha held a soul-cutting knife, and looked at the black-armed Zephyr opposite him very calmly. You are no match for me. Zephyr has gradually retreated behind the scenes in recent years, cultivating a new generation of navy. Compared with Garp and Sengoku in terms of actual combat, Zephyr is somewhat lacking, and he lacks a murderer Sora. Therefore, Mayos Hihoritsu concluded that Zephyr is not his opponent. Pirate, you are too arrogant. The moment the domineering strength of his hands hardened, he reappeared the black wrist style. The moment Zephyr struck with a punch, he saw Azhihilai's hand swinging the soul-cutting knife in an astonishing 3-chain instant kill. The light of the sword carries a fatal move. You read www.ukanshu. In an instant, Zephyr had 3 scars on his body. Under the superb swordsmanship, Unohana Ritsu, holding the soul-cutting sword, showed the aura of a sword ghost. With his hair flying all over his body, he looked like an evil ghost in the world, staring at the injured Zephyr. Oops, Zephyr is really no match for her. Zephyr's state was really much worse than before. Thinking of the sky falling quickly, a long knife was swung out and collided with Iwazukaretsu's soul-cutting knife. The sound of the sword was heard, Iwazukaretsu moving instantly, the soul-slaying sword cut through with a domineering attitude. This woman is a great swordsman. Even the sword in her hand is no worse than any great sword ever. Since Hawky Mihawk drew his sword in Iwazukaretsu, his entire eyes have been locked on Iwazukaretsu. The fierce killing intent, combined with the domineering and extremely killing swordsmanship, made Hawky's pupils lock tightly. Always have plans to take action point at this time. The white stone at the core of the battlefield could see the ice-type gems and dragon-type gems resonating with the energy of the deep-sea gloves on both hands. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479, Fire Fist Tier 2. In Roguetown, a world-shattering war officially breaks out. The Sand Ninja Pirates officially stir up trouble here for their ambitions for the future territory. Platycadon held a longbow, and at the moment, when his body swung, under the lock of spiritual power, countless invisible arrows erupted, releasing violent airflow, directly destroying a large number of naval ships and the muzzles of various areas. Perusalino's expression changed. As he raised his hands, he accumulated photons in his hands, and formed a sword of light. This is the Shiraishi sword condensed from his light fruit ability. Although he is a devil fruit natural ability user, Perusalino is also a master in using domineering energy. The moment the lightsaber in his hand quickly locked onto Kakayo, he saw a huge unknown power burst out of the latter. The spiritual power condensed in his fingers suddenly turned into a violent torrent at this moment. When Perusalino was forced to evade, the long bow in his hand was pointed at the sky again, instantly producing a dazzling light. It's such a terrifying long-range sniping ability. So what about this move? The 8-foot Magatama, Perusalino, relied on his mobility and the range of light attributes to perform a full-screen ultimate move. At the moment, when the sky was filled with light, he saw that Platycadon did not dodge at all. Countless lights approaching her were pulled by a special energy, turned into a special 6-pointed star array. What? Using the power of light for his own use, Platycadon forcibly activated his own spiritual power. Under Perusalino's very obscene and surprised gaze, Platycadon roared angrily, and the longbow bounced back all the countless rays of light he had just released. It's really scary now. When his body was stabbed by a lightsaber, Perusalino looked a little embarrassed. He originally thought that he could just ignore the light arrows that bounced back from the other party, but now it seems that he was too much. However, as a veteran of the Navy, Perusalino quickly turned his body into photons, which offset the destructive power of the arrow just now. The light quickly condensed on the other end, but a hole still appeared at the wound location. I see. I didn't expect you to condense the domineering wind on the bow, too. Years of training allowed Kakayo to master the basic armament color haki and the knowledge color haki. Although not as outstanding as others, the Miko's fighting skills were extremely fierce. She forced herself to cooperate with her own bow skills, and the fight made Perusalino complain incessantly. Space transfer. Just when Perusalino was about to recuperate in midair, Platycadon Grandiflorum used space transfer to appear from behind. The longbow in his hand released a second round of attack. The sharp light shot out, and Perusalino was almost stabbed again. It's too troublesome. Why does this Miko move instantly? Before Perusalino could react, after falling on the ground, Platycadon appeared again. The powerful invisible airflow released by the longbow in his hand forced Perusalino to continue fighting. The coordinate positions were switched between each other, and Perusalino relied on photonization to teleport. However, Platycadon, who had space transfer, almost locked onto the wretched and strange uncle in front of him, and the sense of oppression was very strong. The two sides came and went, releasing rays of light and blasting at each other in midair, making all the Navy and pirates widen their eyes. Am I right? Lieutenant General Perusalino, who possesses the light fruit, has been suppressed. This seemingly frail Miko has such terrifying fighting ability. Could it be that her devil fruit is a space fruit? No wonder the Sand Ninja Pirates have the confidence to shatter the entire Navy headquarters here. It turns out that the main members of their ship have monster-like combat power. Doflamingo pushed up his sunglasses, thinking about how to get in touch with the Sand Ninja Pirates for deeper cooperation. Point under the execution platform. Garp clenched his fists tightly. At this time, the white stone forehead opposite him produced a special light. Then, under the energy of the deep sea gloves in his hands, the ice-type gems and dragon-type gems resonated with each other. When the auxiliary dragon-type gems and ice-type gems blended with each other, they were transformed into a wedge rune of a special gene, and marked on Beishi's forehead. Then its wings folded and emitted different brilliance. The former turned into blood red, and the latter turned into golden yellow. The two color wings symbolize the blue flame contained in the gene wedge. The power of the lightning strike is perfectly integrated into the body of the white stone, turning into extremely cold flames and wild volts. At the same time, the frozen bird also inherited the trick of freezing the world. I saw the mark on Shiraishi's forehead releasing silver light, followed by the violent freezing light. A large number of marines around him were illuminated, and their bodies turned into ice cubes. The Navy Ministry, unable to understand Shiraishi's state, could only classify it as a state of further development of the devil fruit. Sengoku and Uchiha Madara exchanged blows. At the same time, the powerful golden light shockwave forced Uchiha Madara back and stared in the direction of Shiraishi. It is stronger than Kuzen's ice fruit development. Now, Kuzen is still on a mission in the New World and has not returned to Rogtown to participate in this war. However, under similar comparisons, Beishi's ice control ability is now much stronger than Kuzen's. Human. Buddha, your opponent is me, don't distract. The huge black flame giant controlled by Uchiha Madara punched down, and Sengoku gritted his teeth and his face became very livid. The fire of darkness swept across the entire earth, and Uchiha Madara looked like Shura, showing a ferocious smile. It was obvious that facing this giant Buddha was his most satisfying opponent right now. This put a lot of pressure on Senjuo. His opponent seemed to be in a state of panic and kept attacking, so he had to be tired of parrying, and at the same time, he had to take care of his surrounding naval comrades. Mr. Garp, take a punch from me. As the countless wind and snow dispersed, Shiraishi stepped forward with his left foot, raised his fist with his right arm, and struck Garp fiercely like a violent snowstorm. At the same time, the genetic wedge on Shiraishi's forehead produced a huge torrent of light. The frozen world, countless worlds of ice and snow swept in, turning Rogtown into a world of ice crystals. Very gorgeous. Has the devil fruit awakened? Unable to determine Shiraishi's ability status, Garp's eyes were solemn. The moment the rhythm changed, the flow of domineering energy in his body was reversed. In the process of hardening his fists, stronger power was condensed on his fists. The power of suddenly breaking apart of the ice and snow made Shiraishi tut at how hard Kickapoo's fist was. His wings shot out a flame and a bolt of lightning, which were broken by Garp's punches one after another. No matter how you change your moves, Garp will always punch you back, with a bang. Garp's fists violently exploded and disintegrated. Then Garp's body quickly jumped up and faced Shiraishi's hammer blow directly. The surrounding light suddenly dimmed in a terrifying way. Puff. A muffled sound like a squib came out, and Garp was a little surprised, because the palm of his hand holding Shiraishi's fist shone brightly, and the ice layer gradually began to wrap around his whole body. This kind of freezing spread rapidly, freezing him instantly, as if he was placed in a gorgeous silver coffin. Grandpa is frozen. Lieutenant General Garp. The scene was completely silent, but Shiraishi did not show a victorious expression. On the contrary, with a heavy face, he released a second round of ice and snow beams under the light of the mark on his forehead. Masked warrior, compared to the rest of the Sand Ninja Pirates, you seem to prefer being a shady rat. On the other side of the battlefield, facing Akanu's provocation, Ace's eyes were steady, and the flames burning all over his body quickly erupted into a roaring fire dragon. Reading www.ukanshu.net. When Akanu blocked a punch, Ace quickly appeared behind him. Sakazuki, the old ways of irritating me are of no use to me anymore. Yeah. The two sides exchanged punches again. As the burning flames and lava collided, Akanu's expression changed. At this time, Sakazuki clearly noticed that the power of the opponent's fist seemed to be strengthening. There are upper and lower restraints on fruits, but if you rely too much on fruits, you will only fall into some kind of blind spot. For some reason, Sakazuki's mind recalled teacher Zifa's past teachings, but at this time, Ace's fist actually swallowed the power of the lava and knocked Sakazuki away with one punch. Is this a combination of armed Haki and natural devil fruit fire fist? As the future marshal of the navy, Sakazuki is already a monster level strongman. Just by punching him at that moment, he knew that his opponent's combination of fruit and domineering use was a very mature and experienced strongman. Fire Fist Second Gear, Chapter 480, Domineering Master Ban. The burning flame fists formed a continuous offensive network system, and Sakazuki kept retreating to block point. Countless lava energy continued to erupt, forming a spectacular volcanic rampage. It was obvious that after he punched Ace a few times, he was completely angered and instantly released even higher temperature lava energy point. While Ace was very flexible in evading, his steaming fist quickly flew out again. Sakazuki quickly took a few steps back to avoid it. The current Sakazuki and Perusalino have not reached their peak state during the future war. At least the development of various fruit abilities has just begun, so Ace and Platycodon can have the upper hand. Shiraishi raised his eyebrows, and while he was thinking about the next step, there was another noise from Garp. The ice cube shattered, and Garp laughed ferociously. A layer of frost condensed on his eyebrows and beard. From the outside, Garp seemed to have suffered a big loss, but Shiraishi secretly cursed the old guy for pretending. The two sides exchanged punches again, and Shiraishi was obviously far apart. His body felt like it was being pierced by a sea-stone weapon. He felt that his energy and physical strength were leaking out quickly, and he penetrated into the depth of Garp's fist. This is the feeling of seafloor stone. Shiraishi observed carefully and found that Garp's fist was wrapped with a layer of light seawater, just relying on this little bit of seawater to perfectly offset his frozen world and cause trouble for himself. This old guy is very good at playing and deserves to be called a naval hero. He never has any formality in battle. Thinking of this, Beishi jerked his hand away and took 3 steps back. His feet were almost weak. The wings behind his back shot out huge blue flames, but Garp held a large number of cannonballs and projected them out to block them. Both Garp and Garp suffered a loss. No, Aoki Shiraishi is going to launch an offensive. Before he finished speaking, he saw Shiraishi perked up. While waving his wings, his body soared and slid close to Garp, who had not yet completely escaped from the ice. A huge force of frost condensed on his palms in an instant. Countless frosts condensed on the surface of the silver knife, turning into a giant gun that destroyed everything and pointed at Garp's throat. The lightning flashed and landed on Garp's elbow, but he saw that his eyes were domineering, and his forearm violently flung out on its own, blocking Shiraishi's fist with a snap. Immediately afterwards, Garp's eyes continued to refract scarlet light, and his body made subtle adjustments, allowing the slow, rigid and unruly missiles to make correct moves, resisting Shiraishi's attacks one after another. Is this okay? Although the visual color can be predicted, the method of instinctively relying on muscle reaction shows that Garp's visual color is not much worse than his armed color performance. Shiraishi was shocked and almost got counter-attacked by the other party. One punch covers the overbearing frost, supplementing the freezing effect, and the other punch is filled with toxins, directly borrowing Zooide's special neurotoxin to further numb Garp. Garp, who had seen Shiraishi's neurotoxin, barely managed to expel the cold influence from his body. The feeling of freezing and freezing became less and less severe every time. Although the injuries to his internal organs were aggravated, they did not show signs of failure. At this time, the white stone quickly flashed in midair, stirring up a blizzard. Seizing the opportunity to affect the opponent's actions, he changed 8 directions at once and released 8 freezing rays. At this moment, Shiraishi dodges behind Garp in a strange and ghostly manner, taking advantage of his missed shot to win. At the critical moment, Garp sensed the domineering power again, quickly spun his body and blasted out a powerful lion fist. When Shiraishi saw this, he also gathered his domineering energy. In the process of swinging his powerful fist, he broke the air barrier, broke away from the force field, and exchanged the punch with Garp. Garp's expression changed. At this time, Shiraishi raised his arms and shook Zen one after another, without giving his opponent a chance to breathe, bullying the elderly. Oops, if this keeps up, Grandpa will slip up to his waist. Ace was a little worried about Garp's safety. The old man was already a little old at this time, and he was still a little worried about his current situation. Against the young and strong Shiraishi, it was obvious that he would suffer too much. However, Ace is now fighting with Sakazuki. The two have similar types of devil fruits, and their battle is also very exciting. Flames and magma rage in the sky, turning into countless meteors and volcano-like flames. Suddenly, an explosion sounded on the side of Rogtown, and Moonlight Moria took the lead, leading his pirate group to launch an offensive against the navy. Although Shanks also wanted to participate, he was forcibly dragged away by Bucky the clown, who just passed by. Ugh, idiot Shanks, we have no qualifications to participate in such a battle now. Bucky, why are you crying? Are you worried about me? For some reason, Shanks suddenly felt much better. Seeing Bucky's complaining look, he gently squeezed the straw hat on his head. With the first group of Moria taking the lead, other pirate groups quickly started rioting, and for a while the situation in Rogtown was completely out of control. Is this your purpose? After Sengoku clashed with Madara Uchiha again, he landed on the ground and watched the pirates rioting around him, with a hint of heaviness in his eyes. Too much nonsense. Navy, Uchiha. Madara clasped his hands together, and the huge flame giant that filled the sky released countless dark megatama. Under his control, it turned into a devastating attack that shattered the sky and the earth. The entire town of Rog is in a state of collapse at any time. The scene of the all-out battle between the Sand Ninja Pirates and the Navy was broadcast live to the whole world, and many people immediately began to tremble. It's not easy to execute a Roger, but it feels like another group of even bigger pirates has appeared. The civilians were worried, but the pirates who were determined to go to sea cheered wildly, showing their huge desire for the secret treasure of the Pirate King. Uchiha Madara's wreaking havoc directly made Rogtown feel like it was doomed. Madara showed an absolutely strong demeanor, combined with the extremely arrogant Captain Shiraishi on the execution platform. The entire Sand Ninja Pirates finally became completely popular this time. Countless pirates went crazy shouting the name of the Sand Ninja Pirates and wreaked havoc with them in Rogtown. Under the chaotic battle, all the high-level combat power of the Navy headquarters was contained. Especially Unohana, who turned into a sword ghost, was shrouded in terrifying murderous aura. As Khan Changdeo accepted the attack, he gradually showed a trace of helplessness and fatigue. It was obvious that Unohana was too terrifying and made him feel a little strenuous. However, as a naval marshal, Sora's strength is still at its peak. His domineering physical skills and sword skills make it difficult for Unohana to directly win for a while. The disheveled Unohana is getting more and more powerful as he kills. Under the waving sword flowers, he displays dozens of different swordsmanships. Such superb swordsmanship makes the eagle eyes from afar mesmerized. The flexible use and switching of each genre opened his eyes. It turns out that various schools of kendo can be integrated with each other and mastered in a comprehensive way. At this moment, a blood red light flashed in the sky and turned into a sharp sword light, which hit Madara Uchiha, who was confronting the Sengoku Buddha in midair. Its Baloric, bright red blood spilled on the land. The legendary great pirate Baloric appeared, once again disrupting the battlefield situation. However, the moment Uchiha Madara's sword was held, or thunderous light flashed. Reading www.uakunshu.net. Electric current. The Dark Nine Tails can not only create black flames, but also release electric current. Uchiha Madara showed his strong physical talent. As his hands danced, the sword blade shone with silver light. Amidst the wild air currents, Baloric wore a blood red cloak and looked like a demon. He created two blood fangs with his hands and attacked crazily. Uchiha Madara, do you think you can get out of here alive? Although he successfully avoided the killing move, Madara Uchiha was still hit by the Buddha's light from the Warring States period, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. If it weren't for Ivankov's hormonal transformation, Uchiha Madara's sneak attack today would not completely kill him, but at least it would cause injuries that are difficult to heal. Unlike now, his body is still very strong. Does chakra really corrode a person's body? Thinking of this, Uchiha looked coldly and proudly at Balloric and Sengoku ahead, alive. This has never been a problem for me to consider. Chapter 481, Whitebird Pirates. The appearance of Balloric caused the Navy to get into trouble. Originally, one of Sora and Zephyr's targets was Balloric, but in this situation, Balloric no longer had to take action against him. Uchiha staff sword shot out a gorgeous arc of light, instantly cutting off the necks of the two colonels who were trying to attack behind them. At the same time, he grabbed the heads of the two marines with very dexterous hands and crushed their foreheads instantly with great force. The mass fighting methods from the Warring States period were full of barbarity and bloodshed. Seeing the Warring States period, they became even angrier and stepped forward angrily. Rogtown was destroyed like this. Even though there were suspicions of joining forces with the opponent, Warring States couldn't control it so much and just slapped it down. Uchiha turned around with the sword in his hand. As the arc cut through the powerful blue light, Balloric used both hands to activate the blood-red blade. In the crackling battle, although Uchiha was suppressed, he did not show any signs of fatigue. On the contrary, the war becomes more fierce. There were many wounds on his body, but he still bit Sengoku and Balloric. Seeing the situation on Uchiha's side, Shiraishi knew that if they continued to fight, the Suna ninja pirates, who did not have enough strength, would be destroyed sooner or later. Therefore, the Zugai neurotoxin spread from the surroundings, causing many marines to numb themselves. Towards Cap. Hey, what are you doing? I can't control myself, damn it. It must be that boy's fault. At this time, Uchiha took a few steps back. However, when Sengoku's domineering palm wind and Balloric's blood-red sword light struck, a crack appeared in the sky again, and a terrifying shaking storm suddenly blocked Sengoku's attack. At the same time, Shiraishi held a silver sword and blocked Balloric's sword. This is Warring States. Turned to look at the majestic figure in the distance. I didn't expect you to come too, Whitebird. Gilla. La la Sengoku, just let me play with you. The Whitebird pirates appeared on the outskirts of Rogtown, igniting the atmosphere to a fever pitch. Even Ace, who was fighting Sakazuki on one side, burst into tears. Dad compared to Roger and Golden Lion, Whitebird had no interest in treasures when he was a pirate. When he was young, he once said that his biggest dream was to have a family, so he had many pirate groups under his banner. Whitebird has a broad mind. Since most of the crew members are people who are despised by society, everyone is full of admiration and gratitude for Whitebird, who treats the crew members as sons and family members, so they affectionately call him Dad. Although he needs infusion treatment due to his aging body, his courage and strength have not diminished. Fearless, he has the courage to attack any approaching threat directly from the front. No one is allowed to hurt his companions, and no one is allowed to plot against each other. The crew members who sincerely admired Whitebird's charisma were willing to put their lives and death at risk for the captain. In Shiraishi's view, the title of Whitebird as the strongest among the four emperors does not refer to his strength, but more to the fact that Whitebird stands tall on this sea with his own rare standards of conduct, and is known as the strongest strongman. Because in such an environment of intrigue, a pirate who values family ties but has no ambitions can rule the sea and be called the strongest. Ace has been with him for more than 10 years, and he still misses his father Whitebird, who has only been with him for a few years, which is enough to explain the specialness of Whitebird. I didn't expect Whitebird to come here to join in the fun. Go. La la la. Who told you that you are too good at tossing? When Shiraishi was about to say something more, Garp came chasing after him out of nowhere. Boy, take a hard punch from me. Garp punched him, and instantly a pustule appeared on Shiraishi's forehead. The latter shot out a cold wind, turning Garp into an ice coffin again. Glancing at the battle between Beishi and Garp, Whitebird burst out laughing. Gilla la la Garp, you're useless. Sengoku's face jumped wildly, but now he didn't care about Uchiha anymore. Why are you here? I respect Roger's last words, but what? With a flick of the Naginata in his hand, a powerful and domineering force swept through the entire Rogtown. A large number of Navy and pirates couldn't help, but their legs weakened, and they passed out. I don't want to be upstaged by this brat. He has all of us in his scheme. New era of great pirates is coming, and no one wants to fall behind. Even Whitebird, who has no ambition and aggressiveness, doesn't want to be completely overshadowed by a brat. Childish Shiraishi's disdainful expression made Ace grit his teeth. Damn Captain, how dare he call his father childish? Sensing Beishi's reaction, Beishi turned around and showed a very cheerful look. Gilalala, you seem to be very unhappy. I don't know why. Looking at your expression, I'm in a good mood. The so-called displeasure was purely due to Ace's feelings towards Whitebird, but Shiraishi quickly controlled his emotions. Just accept it when you're ready. Your goal has been achieved. Facing the increasingly chaotic situation, Shiraishi nodded and ordered everyone to prepare to retreat. Unohana, who transformed into a sword demon, quickly jumped up, and while holding the soul-slaying sword tightly in his hand, he quickly swung the sword point. This knife directly chopped into pieces the frozen world in front of it, cutting out the Shukaku's path. Everyone looked at them in surprise, and Unohana calmly returned to the ship point. As for Platikadon, she moved in space very gracefully, and switched back to the ship. The battle with Perusalino just continued until now. Neither side could tell the winner. Seeing Platikadon retreating, Perusalino had no intention of continuing the pursuit point, although Ace and Sakazuki will continue to fight fiercely. Reading www.ukanshunet. However, the level of consumption of the second level Fire Fist is much more powerful than that of ordinary Fire Fists. The more the battle, the more Ace felt tired. As for Sakazuki, although he has been beaten all the time, it is still very difficult to completely defeat him. Thinking of this, Ace knows very well that, if he wants to defeat the mad dog Sakazuki, he must continue to practice. The fruit's superior and subordinate restraint is not absolute. As long as he continues to work hard, he will definitely reverse those futures. I will definitely kill you next time the masked warrior comes. Sakazuki was much angrier than Ace. Even though his fruit was his superior, he was suppressed instead. This made Sakazuki feel a strong sense of crisis in his heart. I'm not strong enough to carry out absolute justice. One must have stronger power and one must practice harder. Sakazuki looked at the Shukaku in the distance with strange thick smoke rising all over his body. And ninja pirates, I will personally end you in the future. Chapter 482, How to leave the scene with the princess hug. The battlefield was divided into two, and at this moment, the battle between Uchiha Madara and Balloric entered the final critical moment. Losing the restraint of the warring states period, Uchiha Madara let go, and engaged in a very fierce fight with Balloric. The rapier and the staff sword went back and forth with each other, leaving countless sword marks and battle marks on the field. Balloric can't absolutely suppress Uchiha Madara. This is the super pirate on the Grand Line alongside the Golden Lion and Whitebird. Uchiha Madara took a step forward, opened all the pores on his right arm, and sprayed out terrifying dark flames. He used this to push his fist and hit the enemy with terrifying speed and power. The burning dark flame fist, the surrounding environment is pulled, ignited by itself, and formed a fire network. The fire net shrank rapidly, condensed into a special dark fire, and was extinguished, hitting Balloric from the side. Balloric ignored the fireball, and grasped it with 5 fingers of his stretched out palm. Grains of blood secreted from the pores, flowing like vitality. It turned into an evil hand of blood, blocking Uchi Obara's fist. Boom. As soon as the firelight dimmed, the bright red disintegrated. Balloric was beaten back a few steps, and his shoulder was hit by the dark fire, which exploded to a bloody mess. Uchiha Madara stood firm, and wanted to take the opportunity to attack again, and complete his goal. But suddenly he felt an invisible force pushing from the void, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Moreover, the airflow exploded strangely at his shoulder position, tearing his clothes to pieces, and damaging his skin, muscles and fascia. Obviously, Balloric also used the special blood explosion ability of his special vampire form, which caused multiple scars on Madara Uchiha's body. The legendary pirate who roams the Grand Line is by no means a weakling. However, the embarrassing postures of both sides are enough to show that Uchiha Madara has begun to take the lead in this battle. The last time Uchiha Madara's strength was incomplete, resulting in Balloric gaining the upper hand. Although it has been more than 2 years, Uchiha Madara has always been ashamed of this matter. Now that they met again, even though Balloric possessed the bad fruit in the form of a vampire, Uchiha Madara showed no fear. The sword in his hand condensed dark flames, giving people an extremely uneasy feeling. The light of darkness condensed into one point, and during Uchiha Madara's flying leap, his body turned into a powerful thunderstorm and attacked. When Beloric saw this, the blood red light condensed a little, while the western sword flashed and danced. The blood of the dead Navy pirates around him condensed into a huge blood red energy in his hands. An unbearable stench of blood filled the air. Uchiha Madara and Beloric both roared angrily, and the cane sword and rapier pierced each other's bodies. The two strongest blows intertwined in mid-air, creating a brilliant and dazzling attack. Huge air waves rolled out. A moment later, Uchiha Madara and Beloric each landed on the ground. Unexpectedly, Beloric's body exploded with a blood mist, but he quickly controlled the injury. Uchiha Madara's face was pale, and he held the sword in his hand tightly. Ahem. I didn't expect that your swordsmanship and fruit ability development would improve to this extent. The injured Beloric raised his wings and was forced to evacuate the scene. Uchiha Madara was a little weak. At this time, when the navy surrounded him again, Shiraishi soared over quickly. A huge wave of ice forced the approaching pirates back, and then directly grabbed Uchiha Madara and flew towards the Shukaku. Let me go. When Shiraishi rescued people, he used a princess hug. This hand showed a reaction that made Uchiha Madara look very embarrassed, but Shiraishi didn't care at all. Stop trying to be brave. You are too exhausted to fight this bastard. Besides, the information from Roger in the final land proves some of my speculations. The solution we are looking for in this world may be related to the fruits of the final land. Shiraishi's biggest gain in Roger Town this time was what Pirate King Roger saw in the final land, and that is most likely the fruit of the sacred tree. Of course, chakra cannot be born in this world due to the suppression of rules, and the sacred tree can only maintain its original appearance. Mentioning the heretic demon statues and fruits, Uchiha Madara was silent for a while and then asked, does the Tenge clan have many similar sacred tree fruits? At 12 a long time ago, there was a sacred tree in the universe, which produced 12 fruits. Life would be born from the fruits every once in a while, both male and female. Among them, the fourth woman born from the fruit was codenamed Mao, also known as Otsutsuki Kaguya. Otsutsuki Ryushiki is the fifth being born, codenamed Chen. This information was obtained by Shiraishi when he defeated Otsutsuki Ashura. Although he is not sure about the identity of the mysterious Ashura Otsutsuki, Shiraishi roughly guesses that he should be the fruit bearer of the sun god tree. The original Otsutsuki clan would plant fruits on other planets, and new lives born from the fruits would be given the Otsutsuki surname, just like Otsutsuki Kinshiki. It's just that by chance, the Six Paths Sage brothers became the sons of Otsutsuki Kaguya. The collapse of the Pure Land of Paradise involves a test by Ashura Otsutsuki across multiple worlds. His arrangements in each world may hide other deeper purposes. One Piece. Roger's words basically confirm that Ashura Otsutsuki will also have a backup plan in the final land. Another point is that there are doubts about whether Uzumaki Menma really exists. That's why Uchiha Madara can control this body so smoothly. Maybe Uzumaki Menma's soul is not in this body at all. The power of the Dark Nine-Tailed Soul was too strong and misled everyone's judgment. Coupled with Uchiha Madara's arrogance, he did not accept the appraisal of the two experts on Hanaritsu and Kikayo. It wasn't until Roger's words that Shiraishi's speculations over the years were basically confirmed. The divine tree cannot condense chakra fruit. This world is complete, so we obtain the fruit of the divine tree that should be in its original state. Someone should also be eyeing the fruits of the final land. Shiraishi naturally understood what Uchiha Madara was referring to. Beloric was probably his first attempt, but I have already started working on ways to deal with him. The invisible battle in the darkness has begun. Now Shiraishi has gained a huge advantage due to the start of the Sky Island. Now the battle in Rogtown will build greater prestige for the Sand Ninja Pirates. Captain, we have left Rogtown, and the Navy has not pursued us for the time being. Moyed broke into a cold sweat and said with strong excitement in his tone, where should we go next? Use the Sky Island corridor and UU Reading www.ukanshu.net to come directly to the new world. It is obvious that Shiraishi decided to take the Sky Island route, land from the New World area, and then directly start to expand the territory, striving to occupy part of the country in the second half of the Grand Route. Whitebird's ship is ahead at this time. In front of the Shukaku, a huge pirate ship stopped on the route ahead. Go. La la la. Come and have a drink, Kit. Standing on the bow of the ship, Whitebird held an agitator and issued a very generous invitation point before Shiraishi could speak. Ace, who was wearing a mask, rushed forward quickly. Ha ha ha, I can't miss the banquet. Faced with Ace's actions, Shiraishi was not a narrow-minded person after all, and he respected and understood Ace's feelings about missing his father. So Shiraishi raised his wings behind his back and quickly landed on the opponent's ship. Okay, I want a drink too. Chapter 483, Refreshed New Bounty. On a certain section of the Grand Line, the Shiraishi pirates and the Whitebird pirates formally met. The Shukaku and the Moby Dick were at opposite ends of the sea. The Moby Dick has too few gun ports, only about 30. Although you are powerful, Senior Whitebird, it is necessary to increase the ship's firepower. The current Shukaku has more than 100 giant guns, and its firepower is the top pirate ship of this era. In addition, the design is ahead of its time. Therefore, even the largest tonnage warship of the Navy headquarters cannot match the firepower of the Shukaku on the sea. No compared point therefore. Shiraishi expressed disdain for the almost crude number of cannons on the Moby Dick. Things like Gulala are just decorations. If you rely too much on them, you may become a second Golden Lion. Shiraishi was unable to continue with this complaint. Everyone knew the result of the Battle of Vet Wall. The Golden Lion pirates, who were sure to win, were almost completely wiped out because of an unexpected storm point anyway. This sentence made Shiraishi and Jinshi both black and white, and they couldn't refute it properly point. But since Whitebird didn't care, Shiraishi didn't mean to persuade him. Anyway, Whitebird himself was strong enough, and the pirate ship's crude equipment and firepower wasn't a problem at all, as long as he had his domineering shocking fruit point looking at the sky in the distance. Beishi and Baybird were sitting on one side, and everyone around them was far away, fearing that they would be affected. The era of great pirates is coming. Go. La la la. Roger's words before his death made the sea even more chaotic, but he is not the only promoter of this great pirate era. Aren't you one of them, Whitebird? And Shiraishi each drank from a huge wine saucer. As the two most conspicuous pirates on the Grand Line, the scene of drinking with each other was secretly photographed and sent to the Navy headquarters. Every pirate pursues something different. Roger has his own path. Whitebird has your path. And I also have my own path. Whitebird was drinking by himself and suddenly asked, is it the same path as Golden Lion and others? I have no intention of ruling this sea, but in the process of achieving my goal, I must have enough leverage. After Beishi thought about it for a while, he explained his purpose in a very frank way. Beishi didn't have any doubts and drank freely. Point in this sea, if you want to become a big pirate, no matter what your purpose is, you must not hide it, otherwise it will be difficult to achieve it. Now that he understood Shiraishi's position, Baybird laughed loudly and continued to drink wine with Shiraishi. Before that, let me confirm one thing first. Whitebird slowly stood up, generating a huge pressure. As the haki came towards him, Shiraishi's body reacted instinctively, and he clenched the silver sword in his hand instantly. After the two faced each other for a moment, the Naginata fell in an explosion. The silver light shone, and Beishi barely blocked the sword. He took a few steps back to offset the pressure caused by Whitebird's sword. Boy, as expected, there are not many pirates who can block this attack. Then, can Senior Whitebird explain? After a long silence, Whitebird took out a sea map and threw it to Shiraishi. Mistman Island and some islands in the New World are all within my protection. Even you, the Sand Ninja pirates, are not allowed to set foot there. The rough map of the New World in Shiraishi's hand mainly confirms the scope of their respective activities, which is equivalent to dividing the territory. From the perspective of dividing the area, although the Whitebird pirates control nearly a quarter of the New World, the overall area is still biased. conservative and rarely expands its territory. This time, as a veteran pirate, in the process of accepting the rise of new pirate forces, Whitebird was surprisingly happy to accept Shiraishi and his group. To be precise, Beishi and the few people who made a big fuss in Rogtown were very much to the old man's liking, so you can sometimes use our pirate group to create your air corridor. Establishing a cooperation opportunity with the Whitebird pirates does not go against Shiraishi's current interests. But when did Shiraishi's news about his air corridor leak out? You have an air corridor that can directly bypass the submarine route through the Shampoo Islands. Naturally, it has attracted the attention of many people, but the specific source of the information is unclear. There are two ways to reach the New World. One is to make a request to the world government, and then directly pass through the holy land of Marijoia at the top of the Red Continent. Therefore, you can only abandon the ship. Although it will cost a lot of money and time to apply, it is safe. The other method is to first wrap the boat with Archeman mangrove resin, dive 10,000 meters, pass through a huge hole under the Red Earth continent, and reach the New World through the underwater route Fishman Island. But it is very dangerous now. A third route appears directly, which is to reach the New World directly through the White Sea and the air corridor. Since Shiraishi has mastered artificial islands and free lifting technology, in terms of safety, the Sky Island line is safer than Mermaid Island. It can be expected that many pirates will try their best to enter the New World through air corridors in the future. Shiraishi smiled. The White Sea in the air is also very dangerous. The White Sea is in the New World area and occupies a very small part of the sky. The area suitable for free airdrop is also near Mermaid Island. When news about the Sky Corridor was leaked, the Vinsmoke family was the most suspect, but I intuitively felt that the matter had nothing to do with them. The banquet is next. In fact, without Shiraishi's words, Ace had already started drinking with some of the Whitebird pirates. After 20 years, Ace was very familiar with some of them. However, when he saw Blackbird Teach also on the Whitebird pirate ship, his eyes suddenly sharpened, and his strong murderous intent almost made everyone else on the ship look wary. The person involved, Tiki, was a little baffled. Yu Redding, who can't you net? He couldn't understand why the masked warrior of the Sand Ninja Pirates hated him, but the look in his eyes made Teach very uncomfortable. Seeing the tension between Whitebird and the Sand Ninja Pirates, Shiraishi slowly stepped forward and patted Ace on the shoulder, signaling him to calm down. Seeing the Whitebird pirates, including his father, all looking protective of their companions, Ace snorted, turned into a huge flame, left the Moby Dick, returned to the Shukaku, and no longer participated in the banquet. A few days later, in a certain area of the East China Sea, Ivankov picked up the latest newspaper and read it for a while, and was stunned. Hip, haha, isn't this bounty? The Whitestone pirates became famous in the Battle of Rogtown. The five main forces did not fall behind against the Navy headquarters, and even fought against the great pirate Aloric at the same time. Therefore, the Navy headquarters should start adjusting the specific bounties for Shiraishi and the entire Sand Ninja Pirates after a few days of deliberation. Among them, Even Mode, the Navigator, has a bounty of 56 million belly. Chapter 484, Doflamingo. The Sand Ninja Pirates are currently known as the most terrifying pirates in the post-Roger era. At least after the battle in Rogtown, they sent a clear signal to the world that the post-Roger era is coming. During this period, a large number of pirates that were difficult to count swarmed crazily towards the Grand Line, directly increasing the pressure on the Navy. This group of pirates, fearless of both heaven and earth, caused violent turmoil and unrest in the Grand Line, and throughout the four seas the Navy also had to continue to expand its troops and form various warship formations to deal with the huge pressure brought by the pirates after the Battle of Rogtown. The threat index of Shiraishi and the entire Sand Ninja Pirates within the Navy increased several levels, because they were not only powerful, but also had potentially terrifying influence. In view of the huge threat from the Sand Ninja Pirates, we discussed for several days, and announced the overall bounty amount for the entire Sand Ninja Pirates. As soon as the reward amount was announced, the world was in an uproar. Whitebird, Golden Lion and the others only have this amount of bounty. Does the Navy recognize the status of the Sand Ninja Pirates? On the huge wanted poster for a reward. Shiraishi, dressed in silver and white, holding a silver knife, stood with a cold and arrogant face on the shukaku. Under the photo, a very exaggerated reward amount appeared. Icebird Aoki Shiraishi, the leader of the Sand Ninja Pirates, is cunning, cruel and warlike in nature. He is suspected of possessing the ability of the Icebird fruit of the phantom beast species and special poison making methods. He has a bounty of 1.225 million, regardless of life or death point on the second reward notice. Uchiha Madara is shown under the burning dark giant, with a hint of coldness and terror all over his body. Although he has a handsome appearance, his terrifying eyes make people shudder. Shiraishi Madara, the deputy leader of the Sand Ninja Pirates, a ferocious and cruel killer, is suspected of possessing the dark nine-tailed fruit of the phantom beast species, with a bounty of 1 billion, regardless of life or death. But what is really shocking is a wanted photo of Unohana. The disheveled Unohana looks like a demon from hell. He is holding a soul-cutting sword and licking the blade with his tongue, giving people a feeling of death and trembling. The great sword demon Unohana Ryu, the swordsman of the Sand Ninja Pirates, has a bounty of 800 million, regardless of life or death point. In comparison, the photos of Kakayo as a Mako appear very peaceful. Kakayo, dressed as a Mako, has a group of followers even within the navy. Just because of the aura of Yamato Nadeshiko in Kakayo. For some navy call it a fatal temptation. The white-robed Mako Kakayo, the archer of the Sand Ninja Pirates, has a bounty of 650 million, regardless of life or death point. Finally, there is Ace. Compared to the ridiculous mask last time, this time he wore a flaming monkey mask and a special blood red armor cape, which was very majestic. A masked warrior, a crew member of the Sand Ninja Pirates, a user with the natural devil fruit's burning fruit ability, with a bounty of 550 million, regardless of life or death point. Mode, navigator of the Sand Ninja Pirates, with a bounty of 56 million. The bounty amount of the entire Sand Ninja Pirates spread all over the world at a very terrifying speed. The current Bailey has not been as inflationary as it was later, so the bounty of 1.2 billion is enough to represent the Navy's judgment of the threat to Shiraishi. Not only the Navy headquarters, but also the world's governments are deeply concerned about this matter. I didn't expect that Lord Shiraishi's evaluation in the hearts of the Navy is no less than that of the past Pirate King and Whitebird. In a high-end reception room somewhere along the Grand Line, Shiraishi, who was dressed in formal attire, was eating the food in front of him very elegantly. In comparison, Doflamingo, who was the inviter, looked very ruthless and had no sense of recuperation. Shiraishi's gentle eating aspect also shocked Doflamingo and the entire pirate group behind him. They didn't expect such a great pirate to be so quiet with his eating aspect. There is no rough feeling at all. It seems that Master Shiraishi is very satisfied with the food. Putting down the knife and fork in his hand, Shiraishi picked up a piece of cloth and wiped it gently. Haha, I didn't expect the bird of paradise, which is currently in the limelight, to invite me to meet. I thought you would go to war with us directly like those supernovas. Madara. Uchiha was resting on Shukaku outside the sea area. Since many new pirate groups emerged in the Grand Line, chaos on the sea has often occurred, including some new pirates who are trying to challenge the Suna Ninja Pirates. To become famous, Shiraishi will not have any room for such people. After the group killed some of the new pirates who came to provoke them, the Sand Ninja Pirates stabilized during this period. I'm not a newbie pirate. Since Lord Shiraishi is willing to meet me, it means that you are willing to cooperate with me to a certain extent. Doflamingo is an extremely unusual pirate, although he has just become a pirate. But he has destroyed many towns with his own hands. In addition to his pirate groups and industries, which are involved in weapons, drug trade and other illegal things, he also has personnel deployed as spies in the Navy under the jurisdiction of the world government. I heard your business is mainly devil fruits. Shiraishi's words made Doflamingo laugh. I see. Is Shiraishi-sama interested in devil fruits? Seeing Doflamingo's smile, Shiraishi narrowed his eyes and warned him, watch your smile, Doflamingo. An invisible chill enveloped him, and Doflamingo couldn't help but gasp. He didn't expect that Shiraishi's fruit ability control was so terrifying, and he was suppressed by the frost. Before he even reacted, as the fruit awakened, the two sides were silent for a moment, and Doflamingo nodded with an ugly face. I wonder what devil fruit Mr. Shiraishi is looking for. I hope to find some devil fruits with special abilities, but other than that, I really like to collect some beautiful special luster gems. I think you can find a way to collect them for me. Money is not an issue. The gem that corresponds to the gem on your glove, Doflamingo, is smart, and Shiraishi admits it without any hesitation. This is simply a piece of melee art, isn't it? Over the past few years, Doflamingo's black and white relationship network is currently expanding at an extremely rapid rate. reading www.wakanshu.net. Doflamingo's background is very good. One of the royal surnames of the 20 countries that established the world government was Don Quixote. He himself is a member of the Don Quixote clan and has the privilege of belonging to the Celestial Dragons. 800 years ago, the Don Quixote family was the royal family of Dressrosa, one of the 20 kings who founded the world government. They gave up the throne of Dressrosa to move to the holy land of Mary Joa. In the next 10 years or so, Doflamingo will soon become the largest force in the Shichibukai by relying on his official background and underground forces, and his position of power. He came to him and chose to cooperate with him, just like he cooperated with Kado in the original work, seeking more powerful help. Devil fruit is just a cover. Shiraishi's real need is gems with special properties. In the past few years, Shiraishi had cooperated with the Vinsmoke family to find the whereabouts of gems with other attributes in the sea. So Shiraishi thought of entrusting Doflamingo to use his network to find gems. Hearing that Shiraishi just needed some gems and special devil fruits, Doflamingo breathed a sigh of relief and agreed directly. The meeting and conversation just now put a lot of pressure on Doflamingo. The strength of the Sand Ninja Pirates has already passed the results of the Battle of Rogtown and has been invisibly impressed on the hearts of all the big pirates. Genius website address. Mobile version. Reading URL. Chapter 485. Differences in concepts. Doflamingo is a smart man. Since he chose to cooperate with Shiraishi, he will naturally do it wholeheartedly, especially when his own power and strength are inferior to Shiraishi in all aspects. Although this is an ambitious supernova, Shiraishi has his own confidence in controlling this guy. But Uchiha Madara is not particularly good at Doflamingo since his ace was not on the ship during this period, but went to the East China Sea to deal with his mother's matter. Kikayo and Unohanaritsu were both recuperating on the Sky Island. Now he and the cultivator Madara Uchiha were on board the Shukaku. Is that kind of guy worth cooperating with? Looking at Doflamingo leaving in the distance, Uchiha Madara didn't take it seriously, so he couldn't understand Shiraishi's reason for valuing Doflamingo. Although it's not worth mentioning, it may be that the chess piece was accidentally useful. Regarding Shiraishi's words, Uchiha Madara shook his head. Are you very confident? Maybe. So, seeing Shiraishi's appearance, Uchiha Madara sneered. Everything in this world will not be as you wish. The longer people live, the more they can realize that reality is only filled with helplessness, pain, and emptiness. Uchiha Madara clearly guessed Shiraishi's thoughts, so he couldn't help but laugh and ridicule. There is still a difference between what you and I believe in, Madara. Everything in the world where there is light, there must be shadow. If there is a concept of winner, there must also be a loser. If you have such selfish thoughts as maintaining peace, you will start a war. If you want to protect, love must hate will be derived, and there is a causal relationship between them, and cannot be separated. This is reality, don't you understand? The concept mentioned by Uchiha Madara was that during the 4th Ninja War, Shiraishi adopted a very inefficient method of unifying the ninja world. The plan he outlined was too big, resulting in too many variables. When he came to this new world this time, Shiraishi's old habit relapsed, and he seemed to be appeasing some things. Naturally, Uchiha Madara felt that he was doing unnecessary things. Why did Doflamingo cooperate in this way, directly taking coercive measures and using Shiraishi's special neurotoxin to control this person is much better than this kind of intrigue and mutual use and cooperation. Therefore, Uchiha Madara is not satisfied with Shiraishi's style and attitude. Haha, Madara, do you care about me? What kind of brain circuit makes you think that I care about him. Archer Hamadara was a little unreasonable towards Shiraishi, but the latter stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. The mastermind behind Baloric's acquisition of the vampire fruit cannot really hide behind the scenes forever. The Shukaku sailed very fast, and under the control of Moyed, it arrived at the capital of Seven Waters in less than a week. The sea train is already under construction. The construction of the sea train is mainly related to the legendary shipbuilder Tom the Horned Fishman of the Fishmen tribe. As the mentor who raised Espagu and Frankie Chainrain and taught them shipbuilding techniques. He is fat, but extremely strong, and can lift a boat with one hand. A few years ago, Roger asked him to build a pirate ship, so he used the Adam tree as wood to build the Oro Jackson. After Roger was executed, he was brought to trial on a judicial ship for the crime of building a ship for the Pirate King. At this time, he explained the design and concept of the sea train to the presiding judge, causing the judge to change the trial, delay the execution time, and give him time to build a sea train. The Rogue Town incident indirectly accelerated the fermentation of the Tom incident. When the giant Shukaku sailed into the water capital, it generated a huge deterrent force, causing the local garrison navy and the staff of the world government to panic. Due to the powerful shipbuilding technology in the water city, Shiraishi's main goal this time is to obtain enough raw materials and blueprints here to create a battleship group for the Sand Ninja Pirates. The waterways in the water city are quite complicated. In addition to transportation on the flat surface, there are also waterways extending downward from the heights of the water city. Local residents raise a creature called Blue as a means of water transportation. In addition to its use for water transportation, Blue has a strong carrying capacity and can also be used to assist in moving. Since the water city is hit by a huge tsunami named Yakurana, the god of water, every year, local residents pay special attention to weather reports about the god of water, in order for the water gods to prepare for disasters before coming to the water capital. The island will also provide temporary shelter for the people. After the water gods attack the water city, they will leave a high concentration of sea salt on the eaves of every house. Local residents will also use the sea salt left by the water gods to cook. Historically, the ancient weapon Pluto was manufactured in the city of Seven Waters. In addition, the ship of Pirate King Roger also came from here, so the most famous shipbuilding industry here is Shukaku's iconic flag fluttered on the sea, and soon cheers from the Seven Water City resounded throughout the island. It was obvious that the Suna Ninja Pirates were a big customer for these boatmen. As for capturing them to go to the navy in exchange for a reward, almost no one dares to do so. After all, every core member of the Sand Ninja Pirates has the combat power to destroy a country. When he arrived at the water city, Shiraishi prepared a large amount of special wood. These materials were the torso parts he cut from the outsiders' golems before he came to the pirate world. Compared with other tree materials, the trunk of the outer Deo golem has strong curvature and flexibility, and its sturdiness is the most outstanding. Shiraishi plans to use it directly to build new battleships. These huge heretic golem torso materials were hidden on a small desert island by Shiraishi and others after arriving in the East China Sea. Later, after Shiraishi's base camp was moved to the empty island, they were transported to the empty island. When the Shukaku was overhauled, UU Reading www.ukanshu.net chose a new keel that was made of the trunk wood of the heretic golem. At that time, the technical staff of the Vinsmoke family were amazed at the excellence of the raw material of the keel in front of them. So this time, when he came to the water city, Shiraishi was preparing to target the huge shipbuilding manufacturing industry in the entire water city. The water city has 7 large shipyards. In the future, until Espagu unifies the 7 companies and becomes the world's royal shipyard, these 7 companies will often compete for various orders. Tom and his company were not any of these 7 companies, so they were suppressed and even persecuted later. Compared with Tom, who has no foundation, these 7 local shipyards are inextricably linked to pirates of all kinds. Many big orders come not only from the Zengf of the world, but also from the big pirates of the New World. Shiraishi and others had just arrived in the water capital, and 7 companies had sent their representatives to contact Shiraishi and others. I didn't expect that you also have your own property in the water city. Hahaha. Part of the assets here belong to the kingdom of Goa. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486, Nicola Olbia. In the Bob Shipbuilding Company in the Water City, under a huge red carpet, Ivankov and another mysterious man appeared in front of Shiraishi. Ivankov appeared in the water capital, and was the controlling shareholder of one of the shipyards. Shiraishi was not surprised. After all, Moyed had been recommended by Ivankov before, and Moyed had been sailing on the Grand Route in the past years. I studied in the Water City. Who is this? Dorag, Garp's son. Next to Ivankov was a man wearing a dark green coat and a red square tattoo on the left side of his face. Shiraishi naturally knew his origins, but he didn't expect that this man, who would be recognized by the world's most vicious criminal in the future, would appear in the Water City. I'm not a marine anymore. Seeing Shiraishi's silence, Dorag smiled. Originally, he just came to the company in the water capital to handle some matters with Ivankov today, but when he heard that Shiraishi was visiting, he decided to see him in person. I was also there during Rogtown. You and I are the same kind of people. I can confirm it just by the look in your eyes. The battle between Shiraishi and Garp was naturally seen by Dolag, but his focus was different from that of ordinary people. In Dolag's eyes, although the Pirate King was executed, he and Shiraishi caused chaos in the era. His reaction was this: a sad microcosm of the world. The epitome of the future of the world. In this world of survival of the fittest, happiness will never stop, just because the world is too unfair and incompetent. Dorag is determined to change the world. Such a world has deprived many people of their Zio, but he will not become a pirate, because he has a greater goal. During the battle in Rogtown, there was something in Shiraishi's eyes. Dorag was very keenly aware that Shiraishi might be the same type of person as him. This very strange feeling made him choose to meet Shiraishi here. In fact, Shiraishi is indeed one of the few people in the world who understands Dolag, because in his original world, what he does is no different from Dolag. After a moment of silence, Beishi spoke softly. Although the world is Fbei, the powerful power they control, has already regarded themselves as gods. What you want to accomplish may be very difficult or even arduous. I believe that even if I fail, as long as the fire is ignited, the day will come. I'm just a pirate and don't understand these principles. The City of Water has accumulated a large amount of excellent shipbuilding technology and information over the years. I will find a way to hand it over to you, but at the same time, I also need your help to complete one thing. Does Your Excellency requires skywalk access? Shiraishi reacted quickly. Currently, the Sand Ninja Pirates control the world's unique air corridor. The Sand Ninja Pirates, who own this route, have long been qualified to dominate the stable and great air route. Dorogra went to Ivankov to find Shiraishi. Naturally, a stable route is needed to develop revolutionary forces. Yes, the development of Sky Island resources does require the participation of more forces. We still have many things to cooperate with. The Revolutionary Army has not yet been formed, but Dorag's team is already being formed. Many like-minded companions are scattered around the world, even on the Grand Route. Considering the future relationship with the world, they borrowed the Sand Ninja Pirates Air. The corridor is a very important move for the Revolutionary Army. As for Shiraishi, he wants to use the power of the Revolutionary Army to gain more potential allies. Compared with other major pirate forces, the Revolutionary Army is relatively more reliable. Shiraishi stayed in the Water City for a while, and at the same time, used the name of Bob's company to recruit a group of shipwrights, and then sent these outstanding shipwrights and technicians to the Sky Island area to build a new Sand Ninja Pirates in a giant man-made shipyard. Regimental battleship. The raw materials of the heretic golem have already shocked many old boatmen. They never dreamed in their lives that they would encounter the most perfect materials they dreamed of here. 1 year later, the archaeological Holy Land O'Hara, located in the West Sea, is a small island that looks inconspicuous. However, it is home to the best archaeologists and first-class archaeological teams in the world, as well as the world's largest library. The tree is world famous. The giant pod-like tree holds precious texts from around the world. There is a group of scholars with persistent beliefs and profound knowledge on Ohara Island. They secretly conduct research on historical texts and explore the true face of the blank 100 years that have been erased by the world. Nicole Olbia is an intellectual and beautiful woman with silver hair. In order to fulfill her late husband's last wish and her pursuit of archaeology, she left her 2-year-old daughter behind in Ohara, the archaeological island. Expeditions set out to find historical texts, since the historical text that Olvia and the expedition team sought was the most taboo secret in the world. The Navy was dispatched to hunt it down. Unlike the original work in which Vice Admiral Seren was pursued, this time the person in charge of the Vice Admiral was Sakaski. After experiencing the lessons of the battle in Rogtown in the past, Sakaski, unlike the lazy Perusalino, has always regarded his failure to defeat the Sand Ninja Pirates as his own shame, so the style becomes more and more paranoid. This time, to hunt down Robin's mother and her party, Sakaski's methods were even more cruel, destroying the entire expedition ship with a punch of lava. Violent lava burning on the sea. Olbia looked at the sinking ship with a pale face. She was very unwilling because she still had a lot of things to do. The interpretation of the historical text had just begun, and she still had to find the truth behind the blank 100 years. Sir, Lieutenant General, people on the ship, if justice is violated, no tolerance is allowed. Even if they are just ordinary scholars, they will still be taken advantage of by people with ulterior motives. Sakaski looked at the burning ship in front of him. He had no intention of rescuing or even arresting the ship. Killing it on the spot was the best option. Just when everyone on the ship was in despair, a figure stepped on the ship. Feeling the scorching heat in front of him, he lightly swept the fan on his hand, and a huge storm immediately blew away the lava. Sensing Uchiha Madara across from him, Sakaski showed a sinister gaze. Why are the people from the Uchiha Madara Ninja Pirates here? Uchiha Madara, wearing blood red armor, holding a sword and a fan, appeared on the sea with a very domineering appearance. Olbia and Uchiha Madara looked at each other for a moment, and the latter asked very domineeringly, "Woman, I heard that you can interpret historical texts." Pirate, answer my question. You reading www.ukanshu.net. Uchiha Madara's toughness made Olbia's face turn slightly red. Yes, very good. Withdrawing the fan in his hand, Uchiha Madara turned to look at Sakaski and the others. Then, you can leave. Sakaski gritted his teeth and stared at the arrogant and domineering pirate on the sea. Are you kidding? A mere pirate dares to order the Navy. A huge lava storm erupted from Sakaski and hit Uchiha Madara on the sea. However, he saw a huge black flame giant burning around him. After blocking the lava storm with a punch, Uchiha Madara looked up very coldly. To Sakaski, merely, there was a loud explosion, and the entire sea seemed to be boiling. Uchiha Madara clasped his hands together, and his Dark Nine-Tails fruit ability was developed to the extreme, and the surrounding space seemed to mutate. Susanoo under the black flame condensed 6 huge black flame megatherma, surrounding the world. Chapter 487, Uchiha Madara vs Sakaski. The scholar domineering energy of knowledge condensed in Uchiha Madara's eyes, forming a special insight. The huge Susanoo stood on the sea, and the moment the 6 megatherma fell, an explosion of light was produced. Facing the second master of the Sand Ninja Pirates, Sakaski did not hesitate at all. The lava all over his body suddenly exploded, turning into sound waves and rolling around as if it was solid matter on the entire sea. Countless lava fires jumped up together, and several waves of red flame jumped out. Meteor volcano, a stream of magma erupted, rushed into the sky, and fell down, illuminating the darkness and revealing Sakaski's domineering lava fruit offensive. The giant Susanoo behind Uchiha Madara also swung a domineering punch, as if he was going to hit the void. The continuous fusion of the Dark Nine-Tails fruit's abilities over the years has allowed Uchiha Madara's power to continue to rise to its peak. The fist created by Susanoo was like a missile, making a loud noise that broke the sound barrier. Sakaski's body remained motionless. As the meteor volcano and Uchiha Madara collided with each other, the lava flames all over his body were instantly ignited and spread rapidly to cover his whole body, making him seem to be a volcano walking on the sea. The domineering winding and hardening, and the perfect combination with the fruit at the same time. Uchiha Madara looked at Sasuke like this and raised his eyes according to what the guy from Shiraishi said. This Sasuke is the future generation of Navy Marshal. Now it seems that the strength and momentum displayed by this guy are indeed worthy of the position of Navy Marshal. Uchiha Madara moved slightly, and at the same time, dark fireballs surrounded him. As he attacked with each move, these fireballs merged one after another, condensed into a ball, and shrank in his palm. The hardening use of armament haki allowed Uchiha Madara to show a peerless posture. The moment the magnificent punch landed, lava quickly hit Sasuke's body. He would never compromise easily with a pirate, even a super pirate like Uchiha Madara. Boom. The fire wave spurted out, and a small mushroom cloud rose into the sky, in full bloom. Uchiha Madara and Sasuke each punched each other at this time, and the dark fire and lava impacted the sea. The battle between the two monsters caused the scene to be filled with shock. It was the first time for many sailors to see this kind of battle, and they couldn't help but express fear in their hearts. Orbia and other members of the archaeological team were picked up by a team from the Sand Ninja Pirates and slowly left the sea where the two were fighting. Uchiha Madara, who had no scruples at this time, the domineering light in his eyes was even more terrifying, reflecting the terrifying light that swallowed everything. When Sasuke saw this, the lava energy in his body increased again. What? A stubborn marine, evil. Pirates should be eradicated completely. He is not a person who gives up easily. From the day he joined the Navy, he vowed to kill all seeds of evil, and has extremely harsh and strong beliefs. A pure Navy who has lived as an elite naval force since the beginning of the Great Pirate Era. He is ruthless and eliminates all crimes, so the Navy subordinates are also very afraid of him. Facing Sasuke's almost rampage, Uchiha Madara showed a smile. He hadn't seen such an interesting guy for a long time. Sasuke's virtue is the same as that of the old guy who insisted on the so-called Will of Stone. When Uchiha Madara met the first Tsukikage of Iwa Ninja Village in the past, and he was extremely stubborn. Thinking of this, Uchiha Madara grabbed it with one hand, causing a huge storm on the sea. Just as the latter smashed the wave storm with one punch, Uchiha Madara unleashed the final blow. A huge black flame boulder burning in the sky, under the control of Uchiha Madara, crashed down at an extremely fast speed and hit the Navy warship below. The Dark Nine Tails also has a certain degree of control over gravity and repulsion. After Uchiha Madara spent the past few years thinking about it, he simulated the attack method of the former Shien's Hansing. However, compared to the meteorite created by the real Shien's Hansing, the scale of this fireball was still needs to be improved. Big fire. Sasuke punched hard, and Uchiha Madara's black flaming boulder collided with each other. The mushroom cloud filled the sky again. Susanoo, controlled by Uchiha Madara, appeared on the sea at some unknown time, knocking Sasuke away. Wrap it up. It is obvious that Susanoo can not only defend, but also restrain the enemy. Surrounded by the dark flame giants, Sasuke's expression changed slightly as a second huge dark boulder fell from the sky and exploded directly on Susanoo. The cane sword appeared at some unknown time and slashed across it, leaving a blood-red sword mark on Sasuke's chest. A violent explosion raged on the sea, and the entire warship was blown up. Sasuke stood on the sea with a gloomy face, looking at Madara. Uchiha leaving in the distance, showing an angry look. The disgusting Sand Ninja Pirates. This small-scale conflict between the Sand Ninja Pirates and the Navy is a microcosm of the Great Pirate Era this year. The pressure generated by the Navy on the Grand Route is much stronger than in the past, and the activity of various supernovae makes the Navy tired to deal with it. Sengoku became the Admiral of the Navy in this year, and took on the responsibility of dealing with the waves of the Great Pirate Era. Sky Island in Visalia 2 base. Shiraishi holds Doflamingo's phone bug in his hand. By this time, according to your request, the natural snow fruit has been obtained. In addition, we also found the gem you mentioned at the Chambord Islands auction. Doflamingo was a little hesitant because the price of this gem was so high. According to his estimation, this rare gem only cost 100 million belly. However, the valuation at the auction had risen to 300 million. Bailey. At this price, he must contact Shiraishi to confirm whether he still needs to continue bidding. 500 million belly is my bottom line, although Shiraishi had more money to spend on bidding for this gem. If he bids for an overpriced item at all costs, it would attract the attention of people like Doflamingo. Setting a bottom line meant that Shiraishi didn't have to be obtained. After some simple thoughts, Doflamingo nodded and continued bidding at the auction site. In the end, the gem was sold for 350 million belly, and together with the snow fruit obtained previously, it was sent to Visalia base. 2 points. Doflamingo doesn't particularly value the snow fruit. After all, there is already a Kuzen in the navy, and with the addition of Shiraishi of the Sand Ninja Pirates, fantasy beast species and high-level natural type gems, the snow fruit is naturally not very popular. Value points. No snow fruit. Reading www.ukanshu.net is a natural devil fruit that can turn any part of the body into the shape of snow. Even if the body is defeated by a purely physical attack, it can be instantly reorganized with snow. The amount, range, and hardness of the ice and snow that can be released are directly proportional to the strength of the spear. Since it is snow, Shiraishi guesses that its ability can compete with ice type abilities, such as Aokage's frozen fruit ability. Compared to the burning fruit and rockberry fruit, the snow fruit is at a disadvantage point, but the application of the fruit also depends on the user, and the simple inferiority cannot explain anything. According to the original work, the snow fruit can create tiny pieces of ice and snow from any part of the body, and the snow created can be freely manipulated according to the wishes of the person with the ability. It can wave its wings to blow up blizzards to obscure the opponent's sight, and breathe out icy breath to freeze the atmosphere. It can also gather ice and snow on the surface of the skin, releasing snow shells with extremely high attack power to hit the target hard. It can also control the snow freely, and can turn into snow, and move quickly in the snow. All in all, Shiraishi doesn't think Zuxu's fruit will be bad. On the contrary, with proper training, he will become a good trump card. Chapter 488, Insect Gem. In the original work, the user of the Zuxu fruit is Monat, but unfortunately he is too weak to display the true power of this fruit. Monat's development of the snow fruit was very simple. When Punk Acid fought against Soren, he was even frightened by the power, and was cut in half, and could not be restored quickly. He was not used to the control of the ability, and Aski it is said that Zoro did not use Haki to cut, which was caused by overwhelming deterrence, which is enough to show Monat's weakness. Beishi thought of this, raised his hands, and the surrounding cold snow condensed, then continued to compress, and finally turned into a silver area. The snow fruit has the same power as his freezing bird. If a large amount of snow is gathered, compressed, and hardened infinitely, it can form a wall of ice and snow that is as hard as steel. At the same time, these extremely hard ice and snow walls can form a snow wall or snow shield to defend against the opponent's attacks, and can also block the opponent's path. It can also make the hardened snow wrap around the person with the ability, forming a snow steel blade with great slashing power to slash the target. On the other hand, users with the ability of this snow fruit can hide and zip through the snow. They can use this to track targets silently in a snowstorm. They can also use it in their own battles, so that they will not be hindered by their own snow. It affects the battle, or it can hide in the snow at the critical moment, when being attacked by the opponent. This is very similar to the snow hidden characteristic. The low temperature snow produced by the Zuxu fruit can coagulate the blood and paralyze the nerves, eventually slowly torturing the opponent to death. Overall, the development direction of Zuxu fruit is mainly based on the strength of the user. The silver white Zuxu fruit is currently placed on the empty island. Beishi was silent for a while and temporarily sealed the fruit. At present, he has no idea who to give this fruit to. Wayne, are you sure you want to be my follower? Over the years, although the Sand Ninja Pirates have become the actual masters of Sky Island, the core areas of Apeado and Angel Island are still in the hands of Sky Island people. After these years of mediation, the Sandians have gradually begun to choose to accept their relationship with Gan. Together with 4, they manage Sky Island. Wayne Calgara, as the brother of the original Weber Calgara, was supposed to die at the hands of Enalu. Now that the Thunder Fruit does not exist, the so-called Thor incident will not happen. Wayne looks like he is only 16 years old. naturally can survive. The black-haired Wayne is more studious than his younger brother Weber. At the same time, he is one of the few Sky Islanders willing to venture to King Hei. Teacher Beishi, I want to see how many powerful people there are under King Hei. Looking at the young man's Aokinbo in front of him, Beishi was in a good mood. In that case, just follow me. Can your heart network development basically cover the entire Sky Island? Yes. Wayne, who has a strong mental network, is naturally one of the original Sky Island people cultivated by Shiraishi. Compared with the complex King Hei people, Shiraishi is more willing to support the people from Sky Island to join the Sand Ninja Pirates. This set of equipment can enhance your strength. Shiraishi, use the special shells from Kandeo and combine some special materials to create a set of exquisite and light armor. This type of non-full coverage armor is very suitable for young Wayne's body. Among them, the use of a special magnetic field system can effectively improve Wayne's mental network computing power. Thank you, teacher. Holding this suit of armor, a flower seemed to appear in Wayne's eyes, and he happily tried to put it on. Huge waves swept across the entire Western Sea. Albia and the entire archaeological team members sat shivering on the Shukaku ship. After a long silence, Albia stepped forward. Does the Sand Ninja Pirates also want to seize the historical text? Madara glanced at Albia coldly. You have to be grateful that you have this value, instead of coming to ask me something that is clear to both parties. In a tone of accusing a bandit. This is the way the world is. At least we will not launch a demon killing order against O'Hara. Uchiha. Madara's sneer made Albia's expression change. What do you mean? The world has murderous intentions towards O'Hara. Sakazuka's sniper attack on your ship is part of it. It is said that someone has activated the demon slaying order and is preparing to completely destroy O'Hara. Although there is Nico Robin, who can also interpret the historical text, Shiraishi is not interested in playing the development game, and the same is true for Uchiha Madara. So the two decided to control Albia. Nico Robin's mother, as if they had her, can interpret historical texts. However, the demon slaying order still happened on the same historical trajectory, even a few months ahead of schedule. Sakazuka's conflict with Uchiha Madara and the sea accelerated the progress of the demon slaying order, but this time among the several lieutenants involved in the demon slaying order, Seren was still a participant. As in the original history, Salon did not believe that scholars such as O'Hara were guilty at all, and even questioned the orders of the Navy headquarters. Because he questioned the Navy's orders, Seren was hunted down by the Navy again, just like in the original history, and then drifted to O'Hara Island. By chance, he was rescued by Robin, and the two became friends. Now that the O'Hara incident broke out, Albia quickly stepped forward and pulled Uchiha Madara. Please, save O'Hara. Woman, do you think pirates are partners of justice? Uchiha Madara was dismissive of Albia's request. If it were Ace or Kikayo who appeared today, he might agree to this woman's request, but he was not one of them. Albia's face was red, and tears were falling from her eyes. She was crying so much that everyone else on the boat couldn't bear to look at her. Even other archaeological companions shed tears after hearing this, and the atmosphere at the scene became very sad. Don't cry. In that case, let's sail to O'Hara. The woman in front of her is a key figure in interpreting the historical text. Uchiha Madara originally wanted to use his Dark Nine-tailed ability to control her through illusions, but on second thought, perhaps letting her witness the destruction of O'Hara with her own eyes would be the most effective way to make her give up completely a means on the empty island. After Shiraishi contacted Uchiha Madara's phone bug, he basically acquiesced in Uchiha Madara's approach. To put it bluntly, both of them are aiming to save their original world. Although Uchiha Madara's methods are rough and dark, Shiraishi is not a holy mother who inexplicably prevents his actions. Since he has been authorized to operate in King Hei's IOU, he cannot interfere with him. What's more, if he wants to interfere, Uchiha Madara may not pay attention to him. On the side of the cabin of Visalia 2, UU Reading www.ukanshu.net was, just as Wayne put on the new equipment given by Shiraishi and conducted various simulation tests. At the same time, Shiraishi set his sights on the gems sent by Doflamingo. Is it khaki this time? Insect type gem. Shiraishi didn't know much about the insect type, because in the original Naruto world, the insect type attributes were a combination of the 3 attributes of earth, water, and wind. At that time, Shiraishi didn't pay special attention to the insect type, so he basically didn't practice insect type cards. In fact, most of the insect type skills are auxiliary, but this time the insect type position occupies the right hand position like ice and poison. Does this glove like to play with unpopular attributes? Shiraishi now has no expectations for the fire, water, electricity and other attribute gems he will obtain in the future. They must exist as auxiliary gems corresponding to insects, ice, and poison. The moment the diamonds were set on the gloves, a huge strange light appeared on the gloves, and a special insect type biological totem suddenly appeared. PS. There are a lot of things going on at home recently, so updates are a bit unstable. Sorry. Chapter 489. Philomena. Under the special light barrier, the insect gem actually creates a unique illusion. A moment later, Shiraishi realized he was in an open desert, with numerous stone pillars and caves, and sky blue crystals growing on some rock masses. Countless crystals stood up, and became huge energy pillars, releasing dazzling light, and shrouding the area. A soft female voice came from the sky, with bursts of charming sound. When Beishi saw this, and concentrated on the process, the silver knife in his hand released a strong edge. Approaching the strange creature in the dark. There was a loud explosion, and a gorgeous figure appeared in the void. Although it was an insect creature, it had an extremely delicate appearance. It has a flat head and drooping eyelashes, and its eyes are blue-purple. Under its bamboo pole-like neck is a skirt-like body that spreads out in 4 layers. The top layer is slightly wider than the 3 layers below. Countless powder spread from his body. When Shiraishi saw this, and quickly blocked the silver knife in his hand, the mysterious insect creature swooped down at an extremely fast speed, and appeared on the other side. Its arms stretched out from the hollow area under the top layer. They were very slender, with an oval shape at the joints, and 2 claw-like fingers extending out at the end. There is a yellow crown-shaped part above the eyelashes, but the 2 ends are very prominent. 2 long tentacles extend from the protruding point. The ends are the same color as the tentacles, but are slightly swollen. From the last layer of skirt, it looks like wearing a pair of trousers, with 2 legs stretched out. In her eyes, everything in this world is filthy, so she doesn't want to touch it with her hands. The back of the head is connected to a wedding dress-like part, which is curved and inverted as if to wrap the slender body of the Philometella, but suddenly shrinks inwards near the feet, to form an X-shaped outline. The legs are slightly fatter than other slender parts, and the joints are still yellow ovals, while the feet are 2 more slender yellow tentacles, a bit like high heels. Philomena. Shiraishi possesses the memory of the owner of the first mirror, and naturally recognizes that the creature in front of him is a special species of beast like zooid. The fruit ability of the alien beast is slightly different from that of the frozen bird. Because the ability of the alien beast to display in combat is similar to the superhuman type of devil fruit, such as the special toxin of zooid. Compared with zooid, Philomena has a stronger charming energy. Shiraishi confronted her for a moment, and the latter showed a shy look after recognizing Shiraishi's identity. How, unexpectedly, Philomena floated forward gently, and under the light of a little light on her hand, a special memory fragment quickly appeared. I see it was because of Necrozma's sealed relationship with him that Philomena's power was unsealed, because it was part of the brain core that Necrozma devoured. Apparently countless years ago, this Philomena was forcibly devoured by Necrozma. However, being able to be targeted by Necrozma shows that the Philomena in front of her is extremely powerful. Compared to the previous frozen bird and zooid, Philomena naturally wanted to thank Shiraishi, but at this moment, the frozen bird suddenly appeared, spraying out a strong freezing light, directly hitting Philomena. At the same time, Shiraishi also raised the silver knife in his hand, and the blade sharply attacked the beautiful insect creature in front of him. How could I be fooled by the modified memory fragments? Philomena clearly recognized herself the moment she entered the world of consciousness, and she pretended to be grateful to her benefactor, which was obviously her usual charm method. Alien beasts are much more evil and cunning than ordinary PM world creatures facing Shiraishi's sharp blade attack. Philomena showed a look of disdain. She had seen creatures like Philomena, and it was said that regardless of gender, they would be confused and lose their hostility point, whether it is because the pheromone beetle releases unknown pheromones, or because its appearance induces some kind of hypnotic state, has not been confirmed. However, although her charm ability is powerful, her physical strength is also terrifying. It is said that she has speed as fast as lightning. Its slender and flexible legs can accelerate explosively, and it is said that it can avoid thunder and lightning. Silver light and special silver ions are released, forming a special magnetic field interference process. Philomena's fingers shoot out countless current beams. The most common electric shock wave, under its control, was perfectly combined with Daiwu, turning into a silver current storm. At the same time, every part of her body was a deadly weapon, and she was assassinated quickly. Void and Philomena are powerful beasts under Necrozma's command. Countless years ago, they followed him to invade PM's home world. After Necrozma was sealed and defeated, the whereabouts of these beasts are unknown, seemingly returning to the ultimate world, but actually waiting for an opportunity to lurk. When Beishi faced the creature boiling with murderous intent, the speed of the silver knife in his hand also increased. The domineering energy of seeing and hearing was integrated into his body, and he locked onto the creature in front of him. During the process of unfolding the wings of the frozen bird, with the auxiliary power of dragon gems, a huge flame turbine and electric motor were instantly generated. The two surrounded each other on both sides of the frozen bird, increasing its abilities. Philomena was very fast, moving gracefully like a fairy, but Shiraishi relied on his own domineering power to cope with its high-speed movement very calmly. Knife, without any movement, quietly waiting for the critical moment. In an instant, Shiraishi's eyes showed a hint of coldness, and his domineering aura formed a silver light in his pupils, as if he had the vast soft moonlight. With the same haki color, Uchiha-Madara's eyes are scarlet like the Sharingan, while Shiraishi's eyes are silver moonlight, just like the reincarnated eye he originally had. A weak sense of special energy in the body merges with Shiraishi's domineering energy. Special fruits were planted in the final land. Although they were suppressed by the laws of this world, it is a fact that Shiraishi and Uchiha-Madara gradually mastered some of the power characteristics of the original world. The previous use of hormonal power to remove the after effects of chakra did not weaken Shiraishi and Uchiha-Madara's perception of the power of chakra. On the contrary, it allowed them to have the same situation as Ace, with physical abilities close to those of an innately born immortal body, combined with the combination of seeing, hearing, color and domineering. Shiraishi has a strong sense of perception. Although he is still unable to use the power of nature and chakra, it is enough to suppress the creatures in front of him. Just when Philomena turned into a fierce electric grid and came towards her, Shiraishi's figure flashed, and the silver sword in his hand was wielded with great power. There was a loud explosion, and Philomena's body was severely injured and flew away. Shiraishi's eyes locked for a moment, and countless sealing barriers enveloped Philomena. At the same time, the freezing bird sprayed out powerful frozen snow, suddenly freezing it. The battle suppressed Philomena, and in the real world, the originally restless insect gem gradually stabilized. Chapter 490, Ohara Incident. On Ohara Island, the giant omniscient and omnipotent tree was caught in a sea of fire. Although Seren desperately resisted the navy, he could not change the coming disaster. Kuzan and Sakazuki, the two powerful new generation combatants of the navy headquarters, are here to completely wipe out Ohara. Looking at the burning giant tree in front of him, Kuzan was silent. Seren asked him to quietly bring the little girl who had fallen asleep on the boat into the boat and prepare to send her away later. This child was only 8 years old, but he had to bear more things than the average adult. Kuzan's inner struggle prevented him from attacking Nico Robin. Historical text, a blank of 100 years of history recorded on hard stone. We always wonder why people in the past deliberately use this kind of hard stone to record text. Maybe they wanted to convey the truth to future generations. Ohara scholars discovered during the study of the historical text that in the blank 100 years, there once existed an ancient civilization. Because the scholars' unremitting exploration of history brought Ohara disaster, the reason why history is carved on unbreakable stone and scattered around the world is because it is considered that if the words are written on paper or books, they may be destroyed. This is a strong proof that there are, and the people who left the stones were a hostile force. If they were destroyed by some enemy, then their enemies should continue to exist in subsequent history. On O'Hara Island, Dr. Kiloha, the librarian, turned pale when faced with the oppression of the world government. He looked angrily at the large number of naval forces around him and risked his own life to tell the truth. Just as the drastic changes occurred on O'Hara Island, Uchiha Madara and Obia took the Shukaku and slowly sailed into the sea. Obia tried to step forward, but was stopped by Uchiha Madara with a fan in his hand. Do you want to die, woman? But compared to people, I can help you protect these books. Protecting O'Hara's books is something Shiraishi entrusted to Uchiha Madara. Compared with these stubborn scholars, the countless documents and archives in the omniscient and omnipotent tree are the real treasures. Obia was silent. She knew very well that the Sand Ninja pirates were unwilling to get involved in this trouble, but protecting those precious books was, in a sense, more important than protecting people. Sorry to bother you, Tsk. Shiraishi really got it right. These scholars regard these books as more important than anything else. History. What's the relationship to world government? Faced with the problem of Uchiha Madara, Obia explained, in the 100 years of history, that is, 800 years ago, the world government was born at that time. If the enemies of the people who were eliminated were the current world government, if so, the 100 years of history should be history that is unfavorable to itself and has been erased by the world government. At the same time on O'Hara Island, the president coughed violently and stepped forward. We finally discovered the existence of a certain country by interpreting long ago documents and several historical texts. At this point, the face of a certain big shot from the 5 old stars over the phone finally began to change drastically, because the president basically deduced the whole story of the blank century. What emerges from the documents is the majestic appearance of a huge kingdom. It seems to be known for its great power, but now the information about that country has been forcefully eliminated. I'm afraid that they realized at the time that they would be defeated by the United Nations of the world government. In order to entrust their thoughts to the future and carve all the truth on stone, that is, to leave it to the text of modern history. So, what One Piece found in the final land may be related to this 100-year history, the game of success and defeat. Uchiha Madara has no interest in any of this, but now his main target is still in O'Hara's collection of books regarding the president's speculation. Wu Leoxing finally regained his composure and sneered, "Your speculation is baseless. I think you are crazy. Haha. Ancient weapons may indeed be recovered from history, but they may be awakened together with history. Isn't the existence and thought of that kingdom a threat to the world government? We need to understand what this threat is, and those who control it. All the key is, the name of the kingdom that once prospered is." A gunshot broke the president's speech, and as his body fell down, the entire O'Hara was stained with blood. Countless scholars died directly at the gunpoint of the Navy, and the academic island suddenly turned into a purgatory on Earth. After the Navy withdrew from the island, it began to continuously bombard the entire O'Hara. In the process, Uchiha Madara, who used a special will-o'-the-wisp illusion, docked the Shukaku to the shore and ordered people to carry the books. The scholars who were left to die suddenly became excited when they saw someone snatching books, but after Obia stepped off the ship, they all fell silent. "I want to stay looking at O'Hara burning across the island." Obia spoke softly, "If you decide to stay, I'll burn all these books." Uchiha Madara was very domineering when he spoke, not caring about Obia's current mood. This kind of macho domineering style made Obia's face turn red, and she was very angry. The two faced off for a long time, and Uchiha Madara turned around and left. There are still vacancies on the ship, so those who are willing to leave can leave together. On the empty island, Aoki Shiraishi has built a new library to help you study historical texts. There were only a dozen or so scholars left alive in O'Hara, but they might still be of some value. Thinking of this, Madara Uchiha decided to pack them all up and take them away with these books. The Shukaku used special visual illusions to quietly stay behind O'Hara Island. However, the Navy is currently surrounding almost the entire island in the distance. Naturally, some people noticed something unusual on the island. Lieutenant General Sakasuke, it seems O'Hara is a little too calm. Kindness, staring intently at O'Hara in the distance. reading www.ukanshu.net. Sasuke's eyes were fixed for a moment. Then he suddenly went berserk, with huge boiling magma burning all over his body. It's the Shukaku. That bastard Uchiha Madara is an O'Hara pull. With a loud explosion, Sasuke turned into a torrent of lava and swept forward. At the same time, Kyuzen on the other side also discovered the problem, and his body turned into countless frosts, cooperating with Sasuke to rush towards O'Hara. Hey, you move faster. Facing two natural fruit ability users, Uchiha Madara knew very well that the time he could delay was limited, so he swung the cane sword in his hand to strike with a powerful light point. At the same time in the New World, an island controlled by the Sand Ninja Pirates was attacked by a group of pirates. The residents of the island were slaughtered, and even several subordinates stationed on the island were brutally killed. This incident shocked the whole New World. Apparently there are new pirates with the strength to challenge the Sand Ninja Pirates. Chapter 491. I'm going to twist off your head. An incident occurred on Gablo Island in the New World. Shiraishi received the news almost immediately. As one of his main strongholds in the New World, the guarding force of Gablo Island was not something that ordinary pirates could easily conquer. In view of the provocation from other pirate forces, the entire Sky Island was immediately prepared for war. After the huge bell rang, the second flagship of the Sand Ninja Pirates, the Nakomata, located in the Visalia Island 3 dock, slowly sailed out of the sea. Except for the animal avatar at the bow of the ship, which changed from Shukaku to a Q version of Nakomata. The shape is very similar to the Shukaku in all other aspects. It has the same configuration as the Shukaku, and is built with a special heretic demon keel torso. The hull is shallower, but the number of gun ports on both sides is larger, showing its powerful armed combat capabilities. Although the Sand Ninja Pirates had other basic battleships besides the Shukaku, their specifications and firepower were average. In order to frighten other pirates in the New World, Shiraishi chose to let the Nakomata sail out of the sea. The giant lifting system was activated, and the Nakomata slowly entered the Kinghae Sea. The navigator on the ship was not Moyed, but another veteran crew member who had followed Shiraishi and his group. His navigation experience in the past few years had given him very outstanding abilities. Sky Island currently has 3 man-made airborne islands, namely Visalia 3 located in the New World, Visalia 2 located in the first half of the Grand Line, and Visalia 1 located at the upside-down mountain point. The transformation of these artificial islands took more than 2 years to take shape, creating a powerful air corridor advantage for the Sand Ninja Pirates. Captain, Gablo Island is just ahead. Gablo Island, emitting huge fireworks, was clearly displayed in front of the entire Sand Ninja Pirates. Although Shiraishi's expansion territory in the New World is not huge, Gablo Island is located in the middle of the New World and interacts with all forces. Now that it is being attacked by a mysterious pirate group, there are obviously some pirates who can't stand it anymore. To unchallenged Shiraishi setting foot on Gablo Island, which was almost turned into scorched earth, Shiraishi's face became very heavy. Although the several subordinates stationed here were newcomers who had just joined the Sand Ninja Pirates, they were already supernovas with good strength. I didn't expect to be easily defeated. It was obvious that the person who took action was by no means a simple character. Where's the body at? This, looking at the shriveled and withered body in front of him, Shiraishi's eyes suddenly turned sharp. Charlotte Lingling, the person who died in front of me, was obviously the result of his life being forcibly extracted. There is only one person in the world who can do this, and that is one of the future 4 emperors, Big Mom Charlotte Lingling. Big Mom and her Big Mom pirates are not ordinary rookie pirates, but veteran pirates entrenched in the second half of the New World. As one of the future 4 emperors, the Big Mom pirates are now initially qualified to become emperor. What is lacking is enough territory and power. This is precisely the source of the conflict between Shiraishi and Charlotte Lingling. Gablo Island is very close to Totland. As the most important hub for the Sand Ninja Pirates' New World airdrop, it has always been regarded as a thorn in Charlotte Lingling's side point. But Shiraishi didn't expect that she would come directly to the door and destroy the entire Gablo Island with an extremely terrifying violent gesture. It may be related to the fact that the captain rejected her proposal some time ago. Mentioning this matter, Shiraishi's face darkened. Big Mom had previously sent people to deliver a lot of gifts, saying that he planned to marry Shiraishi, and sent out a special wedding invitation. Shiraishi rejected the invitation from a wedding maniac, like Big Mom, without even thinking about it. He thought she would give up, but he didn't expect that this time she would come directly to attack his territory. Whatever the reason, this is a declaration of war. If you want to stand on the sea, you must have your own dignity. Charlotte Lingling slaps her in the face like this. If the Sand Ninja Pirates don't do anything, then her followers and the island forces under her rule will fall apart. Thinking of this, Shiraishi took out a special phone bug, and one of the reserve numbers was Charlotte Lingling. After running the New World for several years, Shiraishi also has the phone numbers of many big names, one of which is Charlotte Lingling. Poru and Charlotte Lingling's exclusive queen mother him. As the phone bug rang, Big Mom on the ship showed a sinister smile and gently picked up the phone. Well, is it brother Shiraishi? You came to me specifically today to prepare. Do you accept my proposal? Shiraishi didn't talk nonsense and said directly and coldly, Big Mom, what happened on Gablo Island was your masterpiece, right? Ha. Ha ha ha. Faced with Shiraishi's question, Charlotte Lingling showed a crazy smile. Well, I made it. The pudding made on Gablo Island was once one of my favorite desserts, but because of you, I can no longer eat it. It's delicious. I can't control myself when I have an attack of narcosis. Although there are delicious puddings on Gablo Island, the output is very small and cannot meet the needs of Big Mom. Therefore, facing the oppression, they proactively contacted the Sand Ninja Pirates to seek to turn it into a protected area. This time Big Mom took the initiative to provoke, and the Sand Ninja Pirates had to fight back. The contact between the phone bugs was just a form before the real battle. There was sophistry in Big Mom's words, and Shiraishi sneered several times. You can't think of such an excuse. Well, I really didn't mean it. In fact, brother Shiraishi, you might as well consider my previous proposal. If you cooperate with me, Totland will be combined with the air corridor, and the world will be under our control. As a future great pirate, Charlotte Lingling also aims to be the pirate king, but Shiraishi doesn't buy it. I have no interest in it, and I will not surrender under the command of a crazy bitch like you. Picking up a bunch of snacks and reading www.ukanshu.net, Charlotte Lingling laughed strangely as she chewed them. Then maybe my Sephoria will attack again. Shiraishi's eyes were cold, and he released a cold energy, which made many crew members around him a little scared. Big Mom, I will twist off your head with my own hands. Well, this joke is not funny at all. Facing Shiraishi's murderous words, Charlotte Lingling also released a chilling and terrifying aura all over her body. The other children on the boat looked at her with fear and couldn't help but break into cold sweats. There were also people in this group who objected to their mother's initiative to provoke the Suna Ninja Pirates. However, they were instigated by a mysterious guy to seek out Shiraishi's proposal, but when they were rejected, their mother became resentful. Then that person used Gablo Island's pudding to trigger my mother's Surexia attack, and eventually the situation became irreversible and started a war. As the children of Big Mom, it is their duty to fight together with their mother. Now that the war has begun, let's get ready to fight. It's Brother Chapter 492, Big Mom Pirates Conspiracy. In the Queen of Big Mom, he was planning all this, holding the long sword tightly in his hand. As a partner this time, Big Mom agreed to cooperate with him. In addition to having the same face as Uchiha Madara, he also has the aloof red cooperate. Peloric's grudge with the Sand Ninja Pirates made him hate Shiraishi and others. During the battle in Rogtown, he realized that he was alone and could not pose a threat to the increasingly powerful Sand Ninja Pirates compared with the previous pirate Patton and Roger's era. The real kings on the Grand Line now have very vast territories and huge military forces. He was a bit out of touch with the trend of the times, so he had to choose to cooperate with Big Mom. The caller didn't hang up, and Big Mom was laughing crazily. Beishi's face gradually became a little impatient as he listened, but Beishi knew very well that this was a deliberate way to provoke him. The crazy laughter showed how confident Charlotte Lingling was. A few years ago, she possessed the soul fruit, and her fruit abilities improved more and more accurately. Coupled with her terrifying physique and combat power, the entire Big Mom Pirates group continued to be powerful. Expansion point: many areas in the New World, controlled by Shiraishi, have strangled the Big Mom Pirates to further expand their territory. Therefore, there were wedding invitations and a series of incidents occurred in the attack on Gablo Island. Point: in essence, there is a serious conflict between Shiraishi and Auntie's territory and power. Now that the two sides have officially broken up, it means that the buffer no longer exists, and Shiraishi has even threatened to unscrew Charlotte Lingling's head. Point: Shiraishi learned several characteristics of the soul fruit through the original work. The first is fear. By questioning human beings to judge the other's life, if the other person feels a trace of fear, his soul will be taken away in an instant. Point: at this point, Shiraishi and all the members are immune to Big Mom's methods. The two abilities of soul incarnation and soul infusion have greatly improved Charlotte Lingling's comprehensive abilities, but essentially her strongest abilities are her own domineering and physical skills. When she was 5 years old, Lingling was exiled to Elbaf, where the giants live, because her body grew too large and caused damage to her hometown. She was later rescued by the Carmelite nuns there and was taken into the Carmelite House of the Lamb. That is, a place for children of all races who have lost their families. The naughty Lingling was also very strong. She killed a giant bear with one punch, seriously injured a child of the giant tribe, and almost injured the children of the Longhand tribe and the Fishmen tribe, but she was still accepted by everyone. Point: during the 12-day fasting day of the winter solstice, a schizophrenia attack occurred and destroyed the hometown of the giants. The elders of the giants regarded Lingling as an evil god and planned to kill Lingling, but Lingling counterattacked. Point: later, she ate too much and forgot about herself on her 6th birthday. When she woke up, she found that the nuns and her friends had all disappeared. Lingling gained the power of the soul fruit. In order to create a country that would make the nuns happy, she formed a pirate group with Longbread. A bounty of 50 million baileys was placed on his head, and a few years later the bounty rose to 500 million. Point: Big Mom has a monster level physique, but her only flaw is that she suffers from schizophrenia, which causes attacks from time to time. Once an attack occurs, she will fall into madness, smashing around and causing destruction everywhere. Point: after getting sick, he disowned his relatives, even killed his own son, and refused to listen to anyone's words. When the disease occurs, the combat IQ is 0, and he cannot dodge or defend, but only attacks randomly. There was no other way to restore her sanity, except to let her eat the delicious food she wanted to eat. Point: this has also become her biggest flaw, but at the same time, under normal conditions, she is by no means an existence that is easily ignored. Point: Shiraishi holds the phone bug. As the terminator of the 5 great ninja villages in the past, Shiraishi is a heroic figure. This is just a relatively restrained approach in the world of pirates, but it does not mean that he will really ignore the provocations of some people. Point: times have changed, and now the Sand Ninja Pirates are also a huge new force on the Grand Line. Point: now that Big Mom and her pirate group are directly provoking, Shiraishi sneered several times. No more nonsense, let's get ready for war. Well, I'm just looking forward to it. After hanging up the phone, Charlotte Lingling showed a cruel smile. According to the news, Beishi has descended to King Hei, and the Visalia 3 artificial island currently has no defense. Yes, it is obvious that the Big Mom Pirates did not leave Gablo Island at all. Instead, they were lingering near Visalia Island 3. Obviously Big Mom planned to attack Sky Island at this time. The huge battleship is sailing towards Visalia Port 3. Currently, most of the main children of the Charlotte family are on the Queen. Although it is not as talented as the Big Mom Pirates more than 10 years later, it is still a very large force. At one end of Visalia Port 3, there was a sudden bombardment. Several resident staff prepared to move up the artificial island to avoid it, but the Big Mom Pirates held on tightly. Point: the bombing sounds. The Visalia port was under bombardment. Big Mom jumped up and held the long knife in her hand. In an instant, Big Mom had a very strong body and very strong defense. The Visalia garrison personnel could not do anything to her using various weapons. Point: the giant's blade was shattered when it hit Big Mom, who was only 5 years old. Even the hail of bullets and bullets could not add a trace of scar to her, just like a steel balloon. It is a powerful force that you are born with. Point: with a roar, Big Mom produced a terrifying sound that swept across The sound was so loud that it could shatter a person's eardrums and affect a person's ability to move, and can cause substantial damage to objects under the attack of the violent storm. The garrison personnel at Visalia Port 3 began to retreat continuously. Big Mom leaped forward and struck with a punch. At this time, a figure slowly appeared on the side of the port point. The silver white witch dresses up Platicatan, giving people a sacred posture. The spiritual power condensed in the palm of her hand perfectly combines with the long bow in her hand, turning into a sharp starlight point demon breaking arrow. Strange power. The moment the two of them hit each other, the entire Visalia 3 artificial island seemed to be in doom. Amidst the huge shock, Kikayo took a few steps back slightly. To remove the impact of Big Mom's strange power, Kikayo retreated calmly, which aroused Big Mom's great vigilance. Her strange strength was domineering. She knew better than anyone else that she was born with extremely great strength. She killed a bear with one punch when she was 5 years old. Another time, she tried to help the giants fight mosquitoes off their bodies, but ended up breaking several ribs of the giant soldiers with a slap. Under the impact of such a domineering fist, the Mako in front of her only took a few steps back. Mom, let me deal with this woman. A tall man wearing a helmet decorated with rows of manes stepped forward. There were biscuit decorated base corners on both sides of the helmet. He wears black and white biscuit shaped armor, with the word BAS on his belt, and a pointed and long beard. Holding a sword, wearing a cape, and a large biscuit shield on his back. He looks like a general. The moment she attacked with a giant knife, Kikayo was neither happy nor worried. The surrounding spiritual barrier erupted, instantly breaking away the outer disguise, breaking the cookie warrior posture, and forcing the person in front of him to reveal his true appearance. After one move was forced out of its prototype, Cricker snorted coldly. TCH, the real Cracker is a man with purple hair, 3 tufts of hair on the back of his head, and 2 tufts of hair on the left and right with sparks. There is a scar on the right eye. UU reading www. Akshu is wearing a pair of brown gloves. The upper body only has a piece of armor and a pink cloak on the right shoulder. The lower body wears white breeches and brown boots, and a sword hangs on the waist. He is the 10th son of Big Mom, Charlotte Cracker. Although he is only in his early 20s, he is already the top combat character in the Big Mom Pirates. Clark, be careful. This witch is difficult to deal with. Just as Kikayo and Cracker were confronting each other, the aloof red Belloric in the dark controlled countless blood to condense into a point on his finger, like a sniper, locking on the heart of Kikayo. The real crisis came. Although Kikayo arrived at Visalia Port 3 in time, the large number of Big Mom pirates and Belloric locked in the dark put Kikayo in a very threatening predicament. On the boat, the mysterious young man with the same face as Uchiha Madara had a similar scarlet light on half of his eyes. There are only 5 core members of the Sand Ninja Pirates. As long as they are eradicated one by one, their strength can be severely weakened, and they will eventually be eliminated with all their strength. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493, blast you into an airport. As a generation of witches, Platicadan's strength is not just as simple as a sniper or a witch. During the Warring States period, she had to protect the peace of a group of monsters, especially when faced with group attacks. Platicadan itself was powerful enough. Cracker attacked several times, but was unable to take down Kikayo, who possessed invisible arrow energy. Over the years, practicing in Sand Hidden Village and the pirate world, Kikayo's invisible arrows gradually gained the power of a demon breaking arrow point. Since it is used to destroy demons, the attack power formed is very overbearing, directly exerting absolute suppression on Cracker. Charlotte Lingling did not expect that in the absence of the 2 generals of the Aoki, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara ninja pirates, a mere Mako could create such big obstacles and troubles. But since his son wanted to fight, he had no choice but to let Kelly step forward to test the witch's abilities and methods. Then I thought about it. During the Battle of Rocktown, the woman who was able to fight against Perusalino without falling into a disadvantage was definitely not as simple as a sniper. Not to mention her current abilities are still very mysterious and weird. Crackers can create and manipulate cookies infinitely. The hardness of the biscuits produced is determined by the chocolate bar. Some buildings and battleships in Wango are made of the chocolate bar. Cracker can create different types of cookie soldiers, which can move, even when they are far away from themselves. The cookie soldiers will act according to Cracker's orders. Biscuits can be used to build buildings and naval battleships, so ordinary water or even seawater may not affect the biscuits in the original book. Nami's method of making rain is different from ordinary rain and sea, so it affects Cracker's cookie tactics. Countless biscuit men quickly swarmed up, only to see that the invisible arrow in Platycodon's hand combined with its own demon breaking power, like the hardening of armed domineering, suddenly shot out and produced a strong light, shattering Cracker's biscuit army. It turned into the most ordinary biscuits and scattered all over the floor. For a while, even Cracker himself showed an expression of disbelief. How is this possible? Brother Cracker's cookie army has actually failed. The exclamations of the group of younger brothers and sisters made Kilijia's expression even more ugly. However, Kikayo still took the time to shoot invisible arrows, using tactics like flying a kite to target Kilikia. Just when Cracker and Kikayo were entangled, Balorik in the dark finally took action. As a legendary big pirate, he has a fatal move once he strikes. The rapier in his hand is used as a weapon, perfectly combined with the vampire fruit ability. Countless blood gathered together, and the rapier in Baloric's hand stabbed out at lightning speed, directly hitting Kikayo head on. The bright red shadow was approaching at a high speed. Kikayo had a strong sense of perception. Under the countless spiritual lights on her body, it was difficult for everyone in the Big Mom Pirates to tell whether she had been hit or not. The smoke dissipated, and the rapier seemed to have stabbed Platycodon in the heart. Cracker quickly jumped upon seeing this, with the weapon in his hand ready to take Platycodon directly. Clark, stand down. This is a trap. Katakuri, who possesses the power of seeing and hearing, saw through the phantom created by Kikayo, but Cracker had already fallen into the trap. He stepped into the area, and under the light of spiritual power in the sky, Kikayo's longbow released invisible arrow energy, shot out crazily, forming a rain of arrows all over the sky. Amidst the flying arrows, Platycodon's long black hair was flowing and dancing, and the figure moved quickly, and the spiritual light condensed on her fingers released a fierce offensive. Clark's weapons kept parrying, but the spiritual power on Kikayo's fingers gave him a fatal threat. According to his speculation, this should be an application of armed haki. Although Kikayo's spiritual power was not domineering, it had a similar effect. After a series of close attacks and fights, Kikayo spat out a mouthful of blood, and Kikayo pierced his chest with one finger. The moment the light of spiritual power penetrated, countless dead soul insects spread from Platycodon grandiflorum's body and poured into Kilijia's body crazily. A six-pointed star barrier formed around him, and Platycodon, who was controlling the dead soul worm, quickly controlled Crick's consciousness. Soul invasion. Seeing Kikayo perform this move, everyone in Big Mom's pirate group had no time to react. They saw countless biscuit warriors under the control of Kikayo, who in turn attacked Big Mom and everyone. Brother Cracker is being controlled. Faced with the siege of the endless army of cookies, Big Mom burst out with purple domineering energy and quickly eliminated these besieging cookie soldiers. Big Mom stared at Kikayo with wide eyes. Well, it's a special soul-based method. I didn't expect that. Besides me, there are people who have special soul-based abilities. Miko, what is your fruit power? Faced with the problem of a fat woman with a huge body, Kikayo ignored it at all, as the huge barrier instantly enveloped the entire area. Countless silver butterflies floated in from inside. Butterfly purification technique. In an instant, Big Mom could feel a trace of instability in the homits on his body, and it was almost on the verge of being purified. What? Not only Big Mom, but also the power of blood on Baloric, who had just attacked Baloric, was suppressed. Kikayo, who masters the art of purifying souls, is the biggest nemesis of all soul type opponents. Kikayo could easily purify a large number of the reincarnated army of the dirty land back then, let alone the Big Mom pirates now. Homies, who had been injected with his own soul, was unstable and weak. The aunt was horrified, and the murderous intent in her eyes quickly burned. Although Kikayo's ability is very likely to restrain her, she is alone now, which is the best chance to kill her directly. Charlotte Lingling will never allow a strong person to restrain herself. Thinking of Big Mom raising the giant sword in his hand, the domineering aura all over his body, combined with his own strange power, displayed a very terrifying power. Sensing Big Mom's murderous intent, Platycodon was very excited and took a few steps back, taking out the 4th arrow cluster of the 13 rainbows. The dazzling light gathered on the cluster of demon breaking arrows. Facing Big Mom's full blow, Kikayo's spiritual power was completely released, and the rampant spiritual power seemed to be silver holy light. The release of armed domination. The members of the Big Mom Pirates were very surprised when they saw that Kikayo could release such huge domineering energy. Reading www.ukanshu.net. After all, armed color domineering color is not overlord color. It can spread in all directions unscrupulously. However, the more Platycodon's spiritual power spreads, the stronger the barrier becomes. With the blessing of purification power, the Emperor's sword in Big Mom's hands using the Homit's combination has been weakened to a certain extent, and Auntie's own abilities are also in a state of decline. This Mako must die. The Emperor's sword, broken blade, demon breaking arrow, both sides use their ultimate moves, and powerful rays of light impacted each other across the entire Visalia port. To everyone's surprise, the demon breaking arrows directly disrupted the Emperor's sword offensive. Platycodon's arrow clusters struck directly with supersonic power. It hit Big Mom's fat body and caused a huge explosion. After the huge smoke, Big Mom's clothes were all in pieces. At the same time, 2 huge balls of flesh on his body were directly blown to pieces by Platycodon and suddenly exploded into an airport at a Super S level cup level, causing the entire Big Mom Pirates to exclaim. Chapter 494, Don't Sell Your Face. The scene was very quiet, but Kikayo shifted space and appeared on the Queen's hull, looking directly at the man with the same face as Uchiha Madara in the dark. Who are you? I am Madara Uchiha. You are not, and you are not Uzumaki Menma. Faced with the terrifying suppression of Platycodon's spiritual power, the mysterious man experienced unnatural phenomena all over his body. His power was also compressed in this world, so he naturally felt a sense of awe when facing the Mako. Suddenly, Balorik drew his sword, and the blood-red light was about to pierce Platycodon, but he saw the latter used space transfer again, appeared on the other side, and at the same time, waved his spiritual power with both hands in the huge explosion. Platycodon opened the longbow again, locked his spiritual power on the mysterious man in front of him, and shot the demon breaking arrow again. Unable to avoid it, with the attack of the demon breaking arrow, the mysterious man finally took off his disguise, revealing a special face, an inhuman appearance, giving people the illusion of a strange creature. The demon breaking arrow did not cause any real damage to him, but it forced him to reveal his true colors. After taking a huge chill, he and Balorik evacuated the Queen together. After dealing with this mysterious opponent, Kikayo felt a chill from behind and turned around to block it with her fingers. For a moment, Katakuri quickly rushed forward, holding a trident mold to attack. Katakuri, as the strongest being among the Big Mom children, is the core of the family. He is extremely powerful and is known as the highest masterpiece of the Charlotte family. He is deeply loved and admired by his younger brothers and sisters in the family. He tries his best to maintain your perfect image, to protect every member of the Charlotte family. This is a man who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside. He looks aloof and cold on the outside, but he actually cares a lot about his family and subordinates. He is wise and courageous, calm, has strong emergency handling capabilities and a high combat IQ. He doesn't like others to interfere in his own battles. With his ability to foresee the future, he can perfectly copy the enemy's moves or strangle them in the cradle. However, he respects strong enemies and wants to compete fairly with them. When he was a child, he had a cheerful personality and went his own way. He didn't care what others thought of him, and he wouldn't cover his mouth, even if he couldn't make friends. But since Brie was bullied because of herself, she has become taciturn and has been playing the role of a perfect man who will not be underestimated by anyone for the sake of her family. When his mother fought with Platycodon, he didn't take action. However, Big Mom was not in good condition now, so he took action directly. Compared to the fact that his mother's soul fruit was restrained, Katakuri was not too afraid of Kikayo's ability. He danced with the trident in his hand and killed a terrifying death storm. Suddenly, Katakuri quickly evaded, only to see the huge spiritual barrier storm activated by Kakayo's fingers, almost sucking him into it. This woman has a special ability to move in space. Normal vision, hearing, and color predictions have limited effect on her, and her sniping ability is very strong. It's very difficult to deal with. I didn't expect there to be such a strong person in the Sand Ninja Pirates. Katakuri knew very well that compared to the fight against Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara, her mother was not so embarrassed. However, Kakayo seemed to be born to restrain the soul fruit. Although she also suffered a blow from the Emperor's sword, a gash was cut on her arm. It's a mouthful, but it's still much calmer than Big Mom. Katakuri has always felt that provoking the Sand Ninja Pirates head on was not a wise decision, but now that the entire Big Mom Pirates are out, they can't even take down Amiko. It's a bit too embarrassing. In order to maintain the dignity of the Big Mom Pirates, he stood up and continued to fight with Kakayo. After facing many battles in a row, Kakayo was already a little helpless, so she quickly used space transfer to avoid Katakuri's attacks. Katakuri's ability is the NUO fruit, which can turn the body into a rice cake. It can freely change the shape of the body, elongate and become larger. It is quite similar to the rubber fruit, so it can use similar moves and can freely differentiate to avoid attacks. He can also create sticky substances that have strong binding properties and can stick to things they come into contact with to prevent them from moving. However, they lose their stickiness when exposed to moisture. Although he is only in his 20s now, he has entered the fruit awakening stage and can turn the surrounding things into glutinous dough or assimilate things to have the characteristics of glutinous dough. For a time, Kakayo was suppressed everywhere, and the entire Big Mom pirate group breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time they were helpless. Brother Crick, Mother, Brother Katakuri, and the Lonely Red. So many people besieged him. Being a witch is not a glorious thing. Kakayo kept retreating. Although she was in an absolutely disadvantageous situation, she held a long bow tightly in her hand. Just as Katakuri took a step forward, someone from behind suddenly attacked. It's his brother Snag. But when he saw that he didn't react at all, like a puppet, and was attacking him crazily, Katakuri suddenly understood something. Is it the same as controlling Cracker just now? Kakayo did not give up her fight. During the continuous space transfer process, countless dead soul insects on her hands lurked throughout the Big Mom Pirates. The mysterious death soul insect is difficult for most people to detect, except for some strong-minded people like Katakuri who are immune to it. Many ants' children are controlled by the death soul insect and then attack each other. Several of Katakuri's younger brothers quickly attacked and surrounded them, and the scene fell into a state of chaos. During this process, Big Mom gradually calmed down and stared at Kakayo opposite. Just when she was about to continue fighting, there was a huge explosion outside. Turning around and looking around, he saw that several patrol ships attached to the Queen were bombed and sunk, and the ship that was bombarded was also the famous pirate ship Red Foss. In the New World in recent years, supernova red-haired Shanks appears. Big Mom, end the battlefield conflict well. Red hair, what qualifications do you have to ask me to give you face? Are you just a supernova? The red hair now is just a supernova in the New World. Reading www. Can't you? Although Net Big Mom is not the later four emperors, he is at least the overlord of this sea area. How can he give face to a newcomer? Who does Shanks think he is? However, Big Mom also knows very well that after the red-haired pirates intervene, there is no point in continuing to fight. We were going to conquer Visalia and control the air corridor. At the same time, in the waters outside Cake Island, Shiraishi and the Suna Ninja Pirates' new battleship Nakomata slowly approached Big Mom's base camp. Shiraishi, who was wearing a silver-white pirate costume, pinched his three-cornered hat with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. The wings behind his back spread out. In an instant, an icy storm swept over Cake Island. The sea began to tremble, the entire sea surface began to freeze, and the falling snowflakes froze the eyes. When frost comes, Cake Island will be destroyed. Chapter 495, Broken Nations. The appearance of the red-haired pirates attracted the attention of both parties. At this moment, he was wearing a straw hat and watching the two warring parties. This straw hat was specially entrusted to Shanks by Pirate King Roger before his public execution. Therefore, at that time in Rogertown, Shanks cried bitterly while holding the straw hat when facing the captain's departure point. After adjusting his emotions, Shanks was ready to find the person the captain was waiting for. He wanted Bucky to go with him, but was rejected, so he rowed a boat alone to Zillobu village and invited Jesus Boo. Jesus Boo thought that the sea was there. Call yourself. So he went to sea with Shanks and formed a pirate group point. Although it has only been a year, the red-haired pirates have already become famous in the new world and become a force that cannot be ignored. It is one of the more powerful supernovae now. Kakayo's difficulty, coupled with the appearance of the red-haired pirates behind her, made Big Mom look livid. Although she had been injured just now, it was just a simple skin injury and she could recover before she could adjust. She was unwilling to give up. Mama Mahanfa, have you chosen to cooperate with Sand Ninja? Shanks, who was wearing a straw hat, put his hands on his hips and laughed loudly. I need to report back on the incident in Rogtown. Besides, Big Mom was the one who provoked the Sand Ninja pirates first, without any unnecessary nonsense. Big Mom is in a very bad state right now. Platycodon's demon breaking arrow shattered two of her defensive flesh balls, causing her to urgently need a lot of desserts to restore her physical strength. Coupled with the special purification power of the witch, her soul was weakened. Fruit power, so Big Mom chose to retreat point. Although Platycodon can protect the artificial island of Visalia III, it is impossible to pursue the Big Mom pirates. The appearance of the red-haired pirates here is the only thing they can do to help contain them, so the battle ends here. Just after the queen evacuated the port, Kakayo's face turned extremely pale. It was obvious that she had been weakened by the excessive use of her spiritual power. The final damage control of the dead soul insect swarm only made the Big Mom pirates fearful. Looking at the tired face of Kakayo, Shanks admired this woman from the bottom of his heart for taking on the entire Big Mom pirates. Mako Kakayo, let's help you patrol the outer waters first. Thank you. Baloric's sneak attack with the sword actually severely damaged Kakayo's internal organs, but she did not show it. The energy of the Shikan Jade combined with her own strength began to repair the physical body. In this world, although spiritual power is thin, it is basically impossible to cultivate spiritual power compared to the world of Naruto. Under the rules of this world, spiritual power can be cultivated slowly. In this process, Kakayo relies on the Jade of the Four Souls to drive the spiritual power. Lee has a small energy core that perfectly controls his own strength. At the same time, the kingdom of Totland. It is a sea area in the new world where Big Mom established the Totland kingdom. Totland is considered a powerful country, and Big Mom, like the queen of this country, hopes that this country will become a utopia that unifies all races in the world. In the future history, Cake Island will be the main body, surrounded by 34 islands scattered nearby. They will be governed by 34 ministers respectively. The general name of this sea area is Totland. Nowadays, 15 of the 34 islands are in the hands of the Sand Ninja pirates. Gablo Island, located in the southeast of Cake Island, will be the Candy Island in the future. According to Big Mom's vision of the territory of his kingdom, the Sand Ninja pirates were the ones that had to be dealt with, so they initially chose to merge through marriage, and then resorted to force. Totland's goal is to become a home where members of almost all races and tribes in the world can coexist in harmony. Big Mom longs for a utopia where all races and species can coexist in harmony. The races living in Totland include humans, fishmen, merfolk, furs, snakeheads, long hands, long legs, small humans, three-eyed tribes, and hybrids of several different races. According to the law, all citizens of Totland must surrender 1 month of their lives every 6 months as the cost of protection, or they must leave. However, the reality is that Big Mom will never allow anyone to leave Totland, and anyone who attempts to leave will be sentenced to death. Visalia 3 port was attacked. Shiraishi had received the news before, but he did not rush to Visalia 3 immediately for support, because Shiraishi believed in the ability of Platycodon grandiflorum, not to mention the Unohana on the empty island. Lai is preparing for support at the entrance to Sky Island. What's more, he has already arranged another passage for Platycodon. Once it cannot be guarded, Platycodon will abandon the Visalia 3 and enter King Hay, and the Visalia 3 where the Big Mom pirates will land, will enter a special self-destruct system middle point explosive rock, a special material that can rival ancient weapons, has already been deployed in Visalia 3. Once the Big Mom pirates set foot here, the wait is for the crazy self-destruction of the dynamite rock point on Cake Island. All the main forces of the Big Mom pirates attack, but the remaining forces left behind are all the most trusted children of Big Mom. Although they have not grown up yet and are only in their teens, they are all very powerful. Today's Cake Island is particularly uneasy because it snows heavily on the shore, causing the entire island to fall into a severe cold. It stands to reason that it won't snow in the current climate. On the shore, a very tall woman, much taller than an ordinary person, was looking into the distance. She was wearing a hat and a scarf, with white hair. With her slender hair and legs, she was very beautiful, and was observing the island's anomalies. At this time she slowly put on a pair of gloves. It shows the distinctive tattoos of the Longfoot clan on its legs, a long sword with a spiral sheath on its back, and a pair of pink pattern boots. Smoothie, the 14th daughter of Big Mom, is the juice minister of the Kingdom of Totland. Although she is only 17 years old now, her strength cannot be underestimated. But given the current season, it stands to reason that it won't snow on Cake Island. Lord Smokey, a pirate flag appears ahead. Kindness, taking the telescope. You read a book www.ukanu.net. Looking at the battleship she had never seen before in the distant sea, Smoothie was a little confused, but when she saw the flag on the ship, her whole face changed. It's the Sand Ninja Pirates. Yeah, we're here. Faint words came from behind Smoothie. She quickly turned around with her weapon in hand. After seeing clearly the identity of the speaker, her whole face showed a look of fear. Aoki Shiraishi, the leader of the Sand Ninja Pirates, stood in front of her very calmly, but the silver sword in his hand was already stained with bright red blood. Unable to react in time, blood suddenly spurted out from Smooth's neck, and she covered her neck in disbelief. This young genius girl from the Charlotte family died under Shiraishi's knife before she could grow up. Give the island residents half an hour's notice. When the time is up, I will personally destroy Cake Island. Half an hour later, a huge blade swept across the entire Cake Island. The terrifying destructive slash combined with the powerful license snow instantly cut a huge slash on the surface of the island in front of you. Chapter 496, Changming spaceship launched. In the year 1502 of the era calendar, a very bad conflict broke out between two pirate forces in the New World Sea. The Sand Ninja Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates officially went into full-scale war on Visalia 3, Cake Island. Both sides' respective base camps were attacked by each other, especially Cake Island. The entire island was frozen with white stone and ice, and the surface of the island looked like a giant cake that had been cut open. This is Shiraishi's gift to Big Mom. It is obvious that this retaliatory activity has spread throughout the 34 surrounding islands. The Sand Ninja Pirates and the pirates affiliated with Big Mom are fighting each other in the New World. Platycodon successfully forced Big Mom back, but was seriously injured. Although blessed by the Chicken Jade, it would take a long time to fully recover. This battle also gave the Sand Ninja Pirates a comprehensive understanding of the strength of the Shrine Maidens. They could restrain the Big Mom Soul Fruit and even release powerful and destructive armed bows and arrows. For a time, the Sand Ninja Pirates became a hot topic again. News as for the red-haired pirates, they were warmly received by the Sand Ninja Pirates. Shiraishi specially invited Shanks to visit the entire Sky Island point. Although he had followed Captain Roger to Sky Island in the past, he did not expect that Sky Island would undergo such a huge change after so many years. Shanks, who lamented all this, became increasingly confused about Shiraishi Point in the next few days. Although the Sand Ninja Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates below were fighting fiercely in various areas of the New World, Shiraishi still entertained Shanks for several days and finally bid farewell to the future Yonko. Shanks, what do you think of the war between the two maritime overlords? Although Big Mom's defense has been broken, it will not be so easy to win in the next encounter. The overall combat strength of the Sand Ninja Pirates is not complete now, but it will be very difficult for Big Mom to unite with the solitary Red to steadily win over the Sand Ninja Pirates. After all, they can close the air corridor at any time and hide in high altitude defense. It's Obvious that Shanks is not optimistic about Big Mom. The geographical advantages of the Sand Ninja Pirates are too good. They use the defense of the Sky Island to become completely invincible. Over the years, the world government has sent many people to investigate, but they have been unable to achieve effective results. One of the reasons is that Shiraishi reuse the Sky Island. The Angel Clan and the Sandians support these local Sky Island residents, develop productivity and all aspects of people's livelihood foundation, and make the entire Sky Island more prosperous at the same time. Sky Island's various excellent weapons are also used to arm the Sand Ninja Pirates. The use of laser shells allows Sky Island's beam weapons to be deployed on the entire crew, especially on the King Sea below. The crew members of the Sand Ninja Pirates have a sci-fi color. When using laser weapons, the scene was very exciting. Big Mom's sneak attack on Shiraishi's base camp failed. Instead, Cake Island was almost completely destroyed. Even Smoothie, the best young talent among his daughters, was directly killed by Shiraishi. It can be said that people and money were lost. However, as a veteran pirate, she was well aware of her unfavorable situation, so she retreated to the waters of the world to engage in guerrilla warfare with the Sand Ninja Pirates. At present, the vassal pirate groups of both sides are fighting, but the situation is gradually being controlled by Shiraishi. Currently, 3 islands of Big Mom have been conquered, and they are gradually approaching her next main activity area. Now is not the time for a decisive battle. Big Mom's physical strength is too strong. I need some planning and arrangements to take her down. The newly completed Sky Attic is currently the largest library in Kangdeo. The historical texts from O'Hara, Kinghae, Kangdeo and Apeado are all stored in this huge library. A dozen remaining scholars from Olbia and O'Hara were arranged to live here. Although they were not used to the climate of the empty island at first, after they got used to it, these scholars began to integrate into the new work point. Although Shiraishi's goal is historical texts, he is not very interested in ancient weapons. Over the years, he has gradually collected several pieces of historical texts and stored them in the library to facilitate research by O'Hara scholars feeling the good academic atmosphere here. Olbia and others, who were still nervous about Shiraishi, a big pirate, gradually relaxed and began to devote themselves to their work point as the vice captain. Madara Uchiha raised his eyebrows after learning the news that Visalia III was attacked and Platicodon was severely damaged. He seemed ready to go to sea, but was stopped by Shiraishi. According to Kakayo's description, a monster with the same face as you appears in the Big Mom Pirates. Oh, I suspect that they are a tribe from outside our world, possibly from the final land. Is it related to Uzumaki Menma? Uzumaki Menma's consciousness has not yet appeared. Uchiha Madara has communicated with Dark Ninetales, and the latter does not know where his consciousness has gone. There is still too little information at the moment, but if you go up against him, it is very likely that you will not be able to display your full strength. To put it bluntly, Uchiha Madara's current body is not his own. The Uzumaki Menma incident is full of weirdness. Shiraishi is worried that his opponent will leave some special backdoor and in turn control Uchiha Madara. You seem to underestimate me. While Uchiha Madara was speaking, his eyes were filled with aura of domineering energy, forming a pair of terrifying Magatama Sharingan eyes. Sharingan. Although he has lost his chakra, he can still evolve into the Sharingan. Although it is only 3 Magatama, Shiraishi can feel the powerful spiritual power of Uchiha Madara. Sure enough, although there was no chakra erosion, the physiques of himself and Uchiha Madara were infinitely close to the innate immortal bodies of the original world. Therefore, as the power of the sacred tree gradually began to affect the world, Uchiha Madara awakened the Sharingan. I didn't expect you to also awaken your pupil power. While Shiraishi was speaking, his eyes also showed the power of the reincarnated eye. As the 2 eye techniques looked at each other, he saw Madara Uchiha punching him. The powerful punch contained domineering power in the process of an elegant sideways avoidance. The palms of Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara faced each other for a moment. In this world, we are still comrades in arms. Madara, I look forward to the day when the real decisive battle comes. The 4th Ninja War is not over yet. The to looked at each other for a moment, then each took a few steps back, and their eyes returned to normal point in this world. Opening eyes and using pupil power, because there is no chakra relationship, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara are forced to borrow the power of nature, which is extremely heavy on the body. Looking at Shiraishi's back, Madara Uchiha held the fan and the sword in his hand. Have you already arranged the final battle against Big Mom? Yes, Changming. We are already preparing to depart. Reading www.ukanshu.net. The Changming, which represents the name of Nanao, is a complete fortress-like flying ship, equipped with all kinds of weapons to the teeth, symbolizing that the real trump card of the Sand Ninja Pirates has finally been revealed. This spaceship is similar to the Analu's arc in the original work. Shiraishi adopts a special power control method, and combines it with Kandeo's special wind shell technology, to allow the ship to fly for a short period of time. On the Nakamata, Ace, who has relocated his mother and future self from the East China Sea, is wearing a fire monkey mask and getting ready, while sword demon Yuno Hanaritsu continues to stay on the empty island. The Sand Ninja Pirates dispatched only 3 powerful forces this time. Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara arrived at the command tower area of this huge flying ship. While they were standing separately, a large number of crew members and the priest escorts holding laser shells paid tribute respectively. In addition to Big Mom, there is also Balorik. It's time to put an end to it. Putting on his usual silver-white captain's uniform, Shiraishi pushed up his glasses, stepped forward very cheerfully, pointed his silver knife at King Hei below. The Changming is activated, targeting the Big Mom pirates. Chapter 497, Hot Fruit vs Burning Fruit. The naval headquarters, Marinafando, is located in the center of the Great Waterway, adjacent to the Champagne Islands, the Red Earth continent and the Holy Land of Malichia. At the same time, there are 3 gates of justice between Marinafando, Enis Hall on Judiciary Island, and Impel's undersea prison Impulse City, forming a whirlpool ocean current exclusively for the government. The island overlooked by the entire naval headquarters is shaped like a crescent. In addition to combat facilities, there are also residential facilities on the island. The residents on the island are all family members of the Navy. The building of the headquarters is built on the topography of the mountain. The interior is a spacious room covered with tatami mats, and the training facilities are also rich. Because the Sand Ninja Pirates caused a disturbance in Rogtown, Cyborg Khan was not promoted to the Marshal-in-Chief of the 3 armed forces, but directly resigned from the position of Navy Marshal. Therefore, as a general, Sengoku became the Navy Marshal 7 years earlier than history. Today's Warring States period begins with the same dress as the marshals in history, wearing a pair of frog glasses, a long beard on the chin, tied into a twist, a seagull symbolizing the Navy on the military cap, and a head of explosive hair hidden under the hat. Sengoku, as the marshal, sat on top. In addition to Vice Admiral Carp, the new generation of naval forces including Sakazuki, Perusalino, Kuzan and others gathered together to discuss trends in the new world. The war between Shiraishi and Big Mom has caused turmoil in the entire surrounding sea area. Countless pirate groups have taken refuge under the 2 big pirates and started fighting fiercely. Big Mom is currently at a disadvantage in the overall battle. After all, the equipment and combat quality of the Sand Ninja Pirates are far superior to those of ordinary sea pirates. Big Mom's powerful physique makes it difficult for ordinary people to harm her. Kuzan has fought Big Mom once in the new world, so he has a deep understanding of her difficulties. Although Aoki Shiraishi is powerful, Kikayo, an important combat force in the pirate group, seems to be still recovering from his injuries. That Mirko is very restrained in Big Mom's ability. We still underestimated the strength of the entire Sand Ninja Pirates. Mentioning this matter, Warring States raised his eyebrows. The current war between the 2 great pirates in the New World will inevitably leave a vacuum in the first half of the Great Line. Therefore, we must step up our arrangements and complete the plan before the New World War determines the winner. The first half of the sea area is completely controlled. Yes, the Navy and the world government proposed a comprehensive military expansion plan this year. Compared with the Sea and Rogers era, the situation in the current era is more chaotic and riotous, and pirates from all walks of life are fighting fiercely in the new world. The unstable situation also caused pressure on the Navy. However, since the two pirate groups were fighting each other, the Navy decided to take advantage of the situation and accelerate control of the first half of the Great Root Point. Sakazuki snorted coldly. How to solve the air corridor problem? This is also a threat to us. In this regard, we have invited Vegapunk to develop a solution to the air island problem. Vegapunk is known as a scientist who is 500 years beyond human intelligence. He is the #1 scientist in the world government. He is said to have technological capabilities that are 500 years beyond modern times. He is proficient in everything from devil fruits to mechanical manufacturing. He is a true genius. The scientist point in his early years, his invention in his hometown was to semi-mechanize animals. Later, he built large-scale heating furnaces to improve the lives of the islanders, but he was forced to stop due to lack of technology and funds. After becoming a government scientist, he raised a pet dragon, an artificial creature in punk acid. In addition, he has also been involved in human enlargement experiments, discovered the blood factor, and is currently trying to create the first artificial devil fruit. This is a very mysterious scientist. His influence is everywhere, and he is also the only man who completely understands Devil Fruit Point with his participation in the Sky Island project. The subsequent research and development will definitely go much smoother. New World Sea Area. The main force of the Big Mom pirates is currently concentrated in the waters of Iceland, which makes Shiraishi a little confused. Point. The climate in Iceland is very suitable for the development of its fruiting abilities. Big Mom deliberately chose this place, which is obviously against common sense. There must be a bargaining chip for Big Mom's reversal hidden inside this island. Since you know it's a trap, you still choose to fight her head on. At present, the Sand Ninja Pirates have the upper hand. It stands to reason that they can gradually encroach and eventually surround the Big Mom Pirates. Although it will take a long time, it is a safe plan after all. What I need is to use a thunderous method to completely establish the identity of the true master of this sea area in the future. The flying giant ship Changming is sailing towards Iceland. Big Mom on the opposing side has already recovered from his injuries and is lying on his throne with a lazy look on his face, listening to the war. Although the situation is very unfavorable for the Big Mom pirates, Big Mom is still very relaxed, and she seems to be looking forward to Shiraishi's visit to Iceland. Mother Katakuri seemed to want to remind his mother not to rely too much on that thing, but her mother seemed very willing to believe in that man and was very confident in Iceland's traps and calculations. It's not that Katakuri is unconfident, but because he has the ability to see, hear, and feel, he always has an uneasy feeling in his heart about the upcoming battle. Don't worry, Katakuri, the Big Mom pirates will definitely make a comeback in the next battle. The man with the same face as Uchiha Madara, codenamed Sue, stepped forward to comfort him. In the previous battle with Kakayo, he had the power to break the demon, and the evil power hidden in his body exploded, revealing a terrifying face. Although he has recovered now, but Katakuri didn't want to believe this strange outsider. Well, Katakuri, you have to believe Mr. Sue and Balorik. Besides, I have already investigated clearly. There is no such hateful Mako among the Sand Ninja Pirates who came to attack this time. Since there is no Mako, Big Mom can use his abilities unscrupulously. Point. Then I will have the opportunity to dominate the Grand Line and become the real Pirate King. Hahaha. Point. Amid the maniacal laughter, the whole of Iceland seemed to be engulfed in huge and strange vibrations. In the waters outside Iceland, the flying giant ship Changming is slowly approaching from high altitude. Uchiha Madara, UU Reading www.ukanshu.net Aoki Shiraishi. The masked warrior race. The three powerful forces of the Sand Ninja Pirates stepped onto the ship at the same time. At this time, Ace took the lead, and the Fire Fist carried a huge explosion of flames and blasted directly towards the entire Iceland. Point. Fire Punch. During the attack of the huge burning Fire Fist, one person from the Big Mom pirate group also appeared. The fourth son of Big Mom, Charlotte Owen, used the superhuman hot fruit. This fruit ability user can transfer heat to any object he touches, causing the object to heat up instantly. He can also heat himself up and burn anyone who comes into contact with him. He can even transfer heat to most areas of the sea, causing the sea to be damaged. boils, thereby cooking a large number of marine life in the sea. Most ships are damaged due to excessive temperature, and it can also heat the target through air to burn the opponent. High Fever Fist vs Fire Fist. The moment the two sides exchanged punches, Owen's expression changed drastically, and a domineering hot flame swept through his body, producing instant power and making him take a few steps back. It was obvious that Ace had the upper hand. In the first round of competition, Chapter 498, Flame Emperor Ace. On the sea battlefield on the front line of Iceland, Fire Fist Ace released violent fire with his hands, raging across the entire field. Suddenly the sun shone brightly, and the light seemed to have lost all obstruction and filtering, igniting the airflow and burning the gravel. As far as the naked eye could see, all distorted, like an illusion. After Owen punched Ace, his body showed signs of sluggishness. High Fever Slash. Owen took a step forward, used the ability of the heat fruit to heat up the sword he carried, and then wrapped the heat around it and slashed at his opponent. Ace once again used his fire fist, and as soon as his burning fist hit, circles of red and white fire swayed out. Blessed by his own high temperature, the power became continuous. The flames rippled out, passing through the power of Owen slashing, as if everything around him was involved in a black wave. The high temperature knives made by Owen immediately exploded under the heavy hammer of this fire fist, one after another, without missing a beat, circle after circle, wave after wave, with Ace as the center, within a range of 50 or 60 meters. Inside, violent fire fists continued to blast out, directly exerting pressure on Owen. At this moment, Ace turned around, and his whole body turned into flames, to avoid the attack of a strange lamp demon. Obviously it was Irving's brother Dafu who took action. Charlotte Dafuku is the third son of Big Mom, the Minister of Bean of the Kingdom of Totland, and is based in Dao Town, Crunchy Island. Superhuman type, a person with the ability to transpire fruit. They are triplets with their second son Katakuri and fourth son Owen. Compared to the two brothers, he has a ruthless personality and a ruthless and decisive style. He is tall and strong, with short yellow hair and earrings. He is wearing a blue cotton padded jacket with shoulder straps shaped like two mochi. Wear a belt with a magic lamp symbol on your waist. When using the fruit ability, you can summon the devil from the belt symbol. The ability of the transpiration fruit is very strange. It can make the body become like an oil lamp. As long as the body is rubbed, a lamp demon with independent consciousness can be summoned from the body. The Jinn are made of smoke, and can dodge attacks by turning back into smoke, and the Jinn fights with a long-handled sword. However, the summoned lantern demon can only move within a certain range, and although the lantern demon will obey orders, it will not consider the orders carefully. Ace, who basically had a rough internal understanding of the situation, faced the demon slayer from the damp demon, who condensed a huge flame with one hand, and instantly burned all over Ace's body. Emperor Yan. Suddenly, as high temperature air currents were generated all over Ace's body and they were pulling each other, a huge fireball reappeared, and the image seemed real and illusory, expanding suddenly. The rolling blazing white and then blue fire was like ocean waves, rising higher and higher at one time, rushing wildly, almost filling the battlefield, cancelling each other out with the blizzard in Iceland, leaving the sky clear and the earth empty. Owen and Dafu condensed in their hearts, and immediately saw Ace. Ace was wearing a mysterious flaming monkey mask, and behind him was a heavy, scorching white sun. At this moment, he was like the Emperor Yan descending. Ace kicked his feet and punched with his body. His body shone brightly, and his body shape faded, turning into a giant burning fire. It rubbed against the airflow at high speed, and crashed into the air in an instant. Owen. After the exchange of blows, Ace suddenly fell backwards, turned over in the air, and let the red-fire dragon spray thin for a distance, before wiping his cuts on both sides, and rushing high into the sky, scattering into fireworks a series of fierce and compact beatings. Every protruding muscle shows the beauty of human strength, as if it can smash everything. The more Owen and Dafuku fought, the more frightened they became. At this time, the burning giant entity behind Ace sprayed out a huge and vast fire. Seeing that Owen and Dafuku were about to be swallowed up, Katakuri finally couldn't help it. He held a weapon and stepped forward with a strike, interrupting Ace's attack. Katakuri. Ace had naturally heard about this man. His status in the Big Mom Pirates was equivalent to Mako in the White Bird Pirates. For such a super pirate with more than a billion people in the future, Ace's eyes became sharp point under the influence of the sacred tree fruit. The fire release immortal body in Ace gradually began to awaken. Combined with his own burning fruit, the flames all over his body erupted with super golden light. Although this entity doesn't have as strong a defense as Susanoo, it has a very strong group killing power. The surface of the surrounding Iceland is boiling with the powerful temperature. Shiraishi stood on the feet and Changming and kept watching the battle below. Masters such as the Big Mom Pirates and Katakuri did not appear, but many Big Mom children were fighting with the pirates under Shiraishi. The beam weapons and jet devices from Sky Island have strengthened the overall strength of the Sand Ninja Pirates. Several of the ability users have even received a certain increase, putting great pressure on the Big Mom Pirates at the front line of the battlefield. The battle between the two brothers Ace, Owen, and Afu is still going on. Owen and Afu each used their fruit abilities and violently collided with Yandy. The golden flames exploded and collided fiercely with the opponent's violent impact, creating a terrifying hurricane that blew away many surrounding ice and snow roofs. At this time, Owen raised his fists to block Ace's body burning collision. There were obvious black spots and burning holes in the clothes of both of them, making both of them feel a little disgraceful. Two similar fruit abilities, fighting fiercely and bloody. Owen was pushed hard and slid a few meters, leaving two distinct marks. Ace continued to attack at this time. The two of them were elbowing, kneeling, grappling, or grappling within a small space, making explosions of flames one after another. A very fierce close combat. The huge and plump Big Mom stepped out step by step, letting out a heartbreaking laugh that resounded throughout the battlefield. Well, Aoki Shiraishi, I didn't expect that only the three of you would dare to fight us. The Mako and the swordsman. What do you think? The most taboo thing about Big Mom is Platicodon. There is currently no sign of Platicodon on the battlefield, although there is a high chance that the Mako is still recovering from her injuries. She is suspicious and worries about Shiraishi's conspiracy. There was no unnecessary nonsense between the two parties. UU reading www.ukanshu.net. At this moment, Madara Uchiha held a fan in his hand and fell from the spaceship in an extremely domineering manner. The moment he set foot on Iceland, a huge shock swept through the entire island. The domineering color dominates the world. The unexpected domineering aura caused everyone present to scream. As Katakuri and the others retreated, a thin sword quickly stabbed out, and Valoric, who had transformed into the Phantom of Blood, came to kill again. It's the legendary great pirate now reduced to a thug. Uchiha. Madara, I will definitely take your head this time. Facing Valoric's declaration, Uchiha Madara's eyes suddenly opened, the three Magatama Sharingan eyes, while condensing his domineering energy. Under his scarlet gaze, the sword in Uchiha Madara's hand burned with an ominous light. Even one side of the Big Mom was secretly frightened. Uchiha Madara's eyes gave her a strong sense of uneasiness. The legendary great pirate, you are nothing in front of these eyes. P.S. I have something to do at home tomorrow, so I will take a day off. Chapter 499, Against Big Mom. Under the gaze of the three Magatama Sharingan, Valoric always felt that something was wrong. The strange blood was released from his pores, forming countless blood baths and spreading, filthy. But, at this time, Valoric's whole body was exuding a milky white sacred light, which was in sharp contrast to his dark and evil dress. As for the eyes of Uchiha Madara opposite, there was a strange scarlet light. All the pores on Uchiha Madara's right arm opened, and he spurted out blazing white and dark flames. He used this to push his fist and blasted at the enemy with terrifying speed and power, releasing a powerful fire to destroy him. The fire of darkness swept over, and the surrounding environment was pulled, ignited by itself, and formed a fire network. The fire net shrank rapidly, condensing into a violent fireball the size of a palm, and hit Valoric from the side. Valoric ignored the fireball and grasped it with 5 fingers. Grains of blood secreted from the pores, flowing like vitality. It turned into an evil giant hand and blocked Uchiha Madara's fist. Boom. As soon as the light of the fire dimmed, the bright red color collapsed. Balloric was beaten back a few steps, and his shoulder was hit by a violent ball of fire, which exploded into bloody pieces unexpectedly. In the first round of tentative attacks, Balloric was at a disadvantage for the first time. He had fought against Uchiha Madara 3 times. From the first time he was firmly suppressed, to the second time he was equally victorious, and this time he was unable to do what he wanted. Balloric's expression changed slightly. He did not expect that Uchiha Madara's strength had improved so much quick. It's not that I have become stronger, but that you have become too weak. Stop being so arrogant. As a result, Balloric's cloak swayed and bulged, and under the endless blood-red light, his whole body seemed to be giant bat wings at this moment. A bright light suddenly appeared, dispersing the surrounding darkness. Uchiha Madara's staff sword slashed with a powerful sword light. The green sword light rotated at high speed, creating a violent tornado, and locking Tomo from top to bottom. Balloric point at this time. Balloric took advantage of the situation, and raised his hands high in the sky. Suddenly, extreme darkness appeared around him, and the darkness was dotted with bright and hot stars, as if the universe was coming in miniature. The blood-red light blade was released from the darkness, and clashed with Uchiha Madara's sword. Balloric took a few steps back, his face turned a little pale, and in the process, he used his fruit ability again. Scattered dim lights and black dots suddenly swirled around, like countless bats suddenly awakened from underground caves. They glowed with dark red blood, carrying a dangerous meaning, and seemed to have their fangs spread out. Small but numerous bright red bats quickly converged and penetrated Balloric's body, giving him a sense of substance again, no longer illusory, and his complexion initially returned to normal. At this time, Madara Uchiha in front of him unexpectedly discovered that he was entangled by countless bats, so he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Moreover, the airflow exploded strangely at his shoulder position, tearing his clothes to pieces, and damaging his skin, muscles, and fascia. A moment later, Uchiha Madara was torn apart in front of him, and the blood spilled seemed to be the most delicious taste, making Balloric intoxicated. Balloric, you bastard. The faces of the Charlotte family members on one side changed drastically, because the target of Gugeo Hong's attack just now was Big Mom's 6th son, Charlotte can't. It turns out that the person who was just killed by Balloric was not Madara Uchiha, but the unlucky guy can't. Hallucination. You found out too late. As the Sharingan's 3 Megatama continued to rotate, Uchiha Madara appeared on the other side, and at the same time, in his hand, a huge black flame meteorite crashed down with domineering power. When Balloric saw this, he quickly danced with the rapier in his hand, creating a blood-red crescent sword mark. When it collided with Uchiha Madara's black flame boulder, it released a huge light vibration. Sheo Sheo. Fruit, masked warrior, why don't you want to see people with your true face? Because I'm too ugly. Ace grabbed the point, leaving Katakuri speechless and unable to refute this statement. Katakuri is very troublesome. With his ability to foresee the future, he can perfectly copy the enemy's moves, or strangle them in the cradle. However, he respects strong enemies very much, and wants to compete fairly with them. Katakuri possesses top-notch haki, and due to excessive cultivation of this ability, he has reached the point where he can see the future. Not only can you see it, but you can also hear it. It only took Katakuri a moment to see how things would unfold over the next period of time. Combined with the NUO fruit ability, the body can be divided in advance to avoid attacks including armed colors. The weak point is that it cannot activate the side color when it loses its mind. In fact, it is not just the side color. Takuri's armed color haki is also very powerful. He can attach the armed color to the fruit ability and can change the shape at will, which is very powerful. Historically, he could kick the second level Luffy who had activated his weapon color until he vomited blood and punched Luffy's weaponized hand until it was swollen. It can also add armed colors to the awakened rice cake ability from a distance, which is extremely powerful, no less powerful than Luffy's Ape King Spear in Gear 4. Finally, Katakuri also possesses Overlord Haki. When it collides with the opponent's Overlord Haki, the force generated is enough to shatter buildings in the space and cause actual physical damage. He has mastered all 3 major hakis and is the undisputed second person in the Big Mom Pirates. Even in this era, He is still showing his ferocity point. Likewise for Katakuri, the masked warrior in front of him was an opponent he was looking forward to. The masked warrior, whose true face he never knew, gave him a very mysterious sense of expectation. Facing Katakuri's challenge, Ace put his hands together and burned the power of the fruit all over his body, creating a huge energy impact change. Fire. Fist second gear. When the second gear was activated, reading www.ukanshu.net, Ace blasted out a fire dragon with both fists. Upon seeing this, Katakuri activated the flowing glutinous rice balls. This is his fruit ability, which can assimilate the objects he touches into glutinous rice balls. Use this to contain your opponent. Point at this moment, the awakened superhuman fruit seemed to have turned into a natural type, clinging to Ace's attack. However, the latter's fire fist produced powerful destructive power, putting Katakuri in a passive defensive state. Big Mom, what are you planning? The wings behind Shiraishi slowly opened up. Combined with the cold air of Iceland around him, his strength became even more terrifying. However, Big Mom always had a maniacal smile on his face without any fear, holding the Emperor's sword and locking Shiraishi. Well, my plan is to destroy all of you sand ninja pirates here. With a sneer, Shiraishi took out the silver knife, and the momentum from all over his body gathered in one place, and the surrounding chill continued to erupt from all directions. Shiraishi pushed up his glasses. It's the same sentence. I will personally twist off your head here, Big Mom. Chapter 500, Showdown. With a huge explosion, the showdown between the two leaders of the Sand Ninja Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates officially begins. The airflow reversed, and Shiraishi was seen holding a silver knife, slashing in an instant, directly attacking Big Mom's vitals. However, Haki combined with his own sword skills, and struck the first blow without harming Big Mom at all. Point this defense. How did Platikadon break the defense? When Shiraishi took a few steps back, the silver sword in his hand showed a trace of heat. It was obvious that in the first round of confrontation, Big Mom's purple domineering energy caused special physical damage and almost threatened the silver sword. Point the Big Mom giant sword fell, and Shiraishi turned sideways. A huge amount of frost condensed on his palm and covered the blade. In the process, Shiraishi's eyes flashed with cold light, and zoo-wide poison spread out. Point however, Big Mom seemed to have no reaction to these toxins. Even if they entered the body and spread, they could not have any substantial impact, and even made her more excited. Point Big Mom has a fat body, but is extremely flexible. In an instant, it turns from stillness to sprinting. In 2 or 3 steps, it closes the distance between them. Its body is about to rise, like a tiger waving its claws, knowing that she not only had extraordinary strength, but also had explosive skills. Shiraishi did not make a head-on collision. His center of gravity, which had been shaking just now, swung away, and with a flick of his back, electricity shot to the side. Point she twisted her back and adjusted her muscles. It seemed like she was moving in a clumsy way, but she turned around and changed direction, chasing behind Shiraishi without any slowness or difficulty. Purple light condensed on her palms, symbolizing her domineering power. While taking a breath, Shiraishi heard the sound that symbolized danger. His heart trembled, and he immediately took a step to the left. Point. Just as he stepped out, countless ice wings stretched out from behind Shiraishi, then flicked violently, pulled back with his body missiles, reversed the direction abruptly, and dodged to the right, hoping to get rid of Big Mom. Point Big Mom stepped out with her left foot first, and seemed to have been shaken by the white stone, but her whole leg suddenly straightened up, as if there was a bounce on the ground, creating an oblique rebound force, using which she twisted her body, and instantly he caught up to Shiraishi's side, raised his right arm, and punched downwards, creating a huge impact. Point it's so tough on the body that it almost gives people a headache. Platikadon can break Big Mom's defense, because she is a Mako, and the Shikanjade specifically restrains Big Mom's ability to transfer photos of nuns, so it can break the defense. Point. But now that Kakayo is recovering from his injuries, when Shiraishi faced off against Big Mom alone, He was troubled by its terrible definite body point. Just one big mom is so troublesome. So how troublesome will Kato, who is known as the strongest creature in the sea, land and air, be in the future? When Beishi thought of this, during the process of condensing the power of ice and snow, it turned into a huge ice spear and gathered in mid-air stabbing gun with the hardening blessing of domineering energy. The ice spear quickly thrust out, but was blocked by Big Mom with its huge body. At this time, as Big Mom jumped, his strength increased several times. Something's wrong. Amidst the muffled sound, Shiraishi blocked the impact of Big Mom's giant knife, but his body seemed to be hit by a giant tree. From his arms to his toes, he was shaking slightly. His center of gravity seemed to be shaken away. It was difficult to adjust for a while, and he felt suppressed in strength. Big Mom had already twisted his waist, and the huge mountain of flesh twisted his whole body into one force, tightened his fist, and pulled it out with a snap, bringing up a sharp wind, and sweeping towards Shiraishi's leg point. Taking a breath, he quickly adjusted his muscles. While Shiraishi was condensing his armed domineering energy, he tightened his left leg, lifted it out, and suddenly exerted an inch of strength to block Big Mom's whipping leg point. In the sound of the huge collision, Shiraishi felt a pain in his calf bone. Although it was not injured, it made people want to rub it quickly, but reality did not give him a chance. As soon as he stepped firmly, Big Mom punched him in the chest again. The cannon that opened the mountain was like a powerful hammer, and the crisp sound seemed to explode in his ears. Landing on the island, he saw a special distortion and restraint on the ground. Although it was not obvious, Shiraishi already understood it all. The entire Iceland is alive, analyzing and reading, and even helping Big Mom to better predict and interpret. In an instant, Shiraishi understood why Big Mom dared to choose Iceland and himself as the main battlefield. The huge Iceland in front of them is itself a homies. No wonder Big Mom didn't see any other homies today except for the three major homies. Obviously, in order to deal with the battle of Shiraishi, Big Mom injected all the souls it acquired into Iceland to form a huge battle-specific homits. Therefore, Shiraishi seems to have mastered the geographical advantage, but in fact, Icelandic homies also gave Big Mom an increase in all aspects of power and speed. At this moment, the whole of Iceland seemed to be on fire, and Homies' eyes slowly opened. At the time of the fierce battle between the Sand Ninja Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates, they were located somewhere in the pirate world. The huge towering sacred tree has already taken root and sprouted, although the growth is very slow. Even many chakra birth methods and rules have begun to be adjusted due to this world order. A mysterious man with the same face as Uchiha Madara appeared before, appearing under the sacred tree, feeling the power continuously extracted by the sacred tree, his eyes showing confusion and intoxication. Sand Ninja Pirates, continue to grow. The stronger you are, the stronger the power of the sacred tree will be. By then, I will live beyond the absolute power of other tribesmen. Amidst the crazy laughter, I saw the mysterious man taking off his disguise, wearing the same ninja costume as the Otsutsuki clan, and appearing under the giant tree. With Madara Uchiha's Sharingan opening, the eyes of this Otsutsuki clan member it also blooms with a brilliant and dazzling evil light point. While he was immersed in his own world, the fruits on the sacred tree, combined with the special laws of the pirate world, resulting in unprecedented violent mutations. A huge nascent force gradually began to affect the entire pirate world. Ninja world. The huge outsider demon finally broke out of the atmosphere, and a crack appeared in the sky. 4 people, Hagoromo Shinto, Senjalayu, Oni Tauheiyu, and Uchiha Kid, appeared here at the same time. Looking at the mutated heretic demon, they tried to step forward, but were stopped by the Sage of Six Paths. The Six Paths Immortal holding a staff slowly appeared in front of the 4 people, looking at the increasingly dark gaps in the sky. Among them, Ghost Tengheiyu stepped forward. The Cheyenne clan has invaded the opposite world, yes, but it is also the best opportunity to eliminate the threat from the Cheyenne clan. The Immortal of Six Paths looked deeply at the growth direction of the heretic demon. He could think of things, and Shiraishi could also think of them. Therefore, the Six Paths Sage prevented Uchiha Kid and others from taking action, hoping that Shiraishi would have full authority to deal with the members of the Otsutsuki clan. But the person who planted the fruit of the sacred tree in the first place was someone else. Could it be you, Azura? PS. My coding status has not been very good recently. There are a lot of messes at home. I'm really sorry. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.